everyone, what's going on? Happy Thursday, lore stream day. The lore stream we've been asking for a long time. You guys hear that? Hear the background music they're using for the stream? It was just like heavy breathing. Huh? Oh no, now we're getting into it. Yeah. Oh yeah. That's their stream music. By the way, I was sitting here, man, I don't like starting my stream when they haven't even started their stream yet, because I know that this damn 10-minute countdown is coming. It kills me every time. It kills me every time. But hey, I got my, you wouldn't download a chainsaw mug. I just got this in today. I wasn't a huge fan of the design, so I never bought it, but now they have 50% off. I was like, alright, I'm in. I like everything on the mug. I dig this. The actual logo, if you actually take a drink of it, you see Leatherface head at the bottom. Look at this. But you wouldn't download a chainsaw, such like a 2000s joke. I don't know. Google Rex 16 months. What's going on? Got your hoodie today? Hell yeah. I got a whole bunch of koozies that I'll be giving away. And I got more of the spices. I ran out of the Leatherface dry rub. So let's talk about this stream. Huh? What's up, Bailey? Epic, Cash, Kylie. This stream is going over all of the lore. I don't know how far they're going, whether it's character by character. They did put an emphasis on petals right before this stream, so I imagine we're talking about Maria. Where is Maria? Let me tell you what I'm listening for today, though. There's one thing that I'm listening for today. I don't expect, like, big DLC news. I don't expect them to dive into Barbara Crampton, the Virginia character. I don't expect any of that. This is probably going to be as, like, you know, run-of-the-mill lore as it could be. The one thing I'm listening for is Ronnie or Andy not actually committing to Maria being dead. That's what I'm looking for today. Because if there's anything like, I'm telling you, even the slightest hint of, who knows what happened to Maria? We don't have the details. Petals didn't go beyond just her meeting the family. If it's anything like that, I'm gonna be like, you motherfuckers. I'm gonna make the assumption that Maria's alive. Huh? I know it's unlikely, but I'm just telling you. That's what I'm looking for. Other than that, I don't know. I don't know what to expect from this. She's Johnny's new girlfriend, exactly. Cook and Nancy, former lovers. I definitely think they were former lovers. I don't think brother and sister. Maria has to be gone. I don't know, man. I don't know. I guess we'll find out. Today's the day, right? Or a hint. They could hint that she might not be dead. Saw the leaks in the subreddit. Well, I tell you right now, if there are leaks related to anything I just said, I have no idea what you're talking about. If they relate to Maria, I have been talking about Maria potentially being alive for 6 months. So, if the leaks happened 6 months ago, then you got me. But she's not missing for a month. She's only been missing for 3 weeks, right? That's what they said? I don't know. That's what we'll find out. Hey, Ouija Brothers, appreciate that, man. Appreciate it. Hey, look, we have a check mark. Anyone notice a check mark? I don't know why, but that just feels it's satisfying. It's like, hey, you did it. You did something, kid. Well, I know about the finding the body leaks. I do know if that's what we're talking about. I do know about those. Those are removed now. I don't know. Yeah, but you can't go off of Johnny's voice. You can't go off any of the family members' voice lines when it comes to Maria being dead because, like, they're toying with the victims, you know? I'll show you what I did to that girl. Yeah, you know. Yeah, no, it's just a stupid check mark, but man, it just finally feels like you did something. And the plaque is ordered, Epic. I finally got the email confirming we are allowed to put in an order for one. That'll probably take another, like, 3 weeks, though. You know, now that you say that, Dan, it did feel like a lot of the lore before the game came out, like on the Instagram. But, like, I thought it was only 3 weeks. And Ronnie, I literally talked to Ronnie in October, and he said 3 weeks. So now that you said that, yeah, good point. Any lore can hint at other movie characters coming? That's a good question. Probably not. It had to be extremely subtle. They might be a little nervous to go too deep into this. Carnival Hunt, yes, I did back Carnival Hunt twice, technically. Man, these 10-minute countdowns kill me. I got a 5-minute policy. A playable Maria released at the end of the video. That'd be crazy. Hey, maybe that's why they waited so long. This lore stream has been delayed and delayed and delayed. If they hinted at something like that, oh, that'd be wild. But I still feel like if they're going to do that, that's what the museum mode's going to be. It would be revealing Maria. Whether dead or alive, I feel like that's what the museum should be leading up to. Carnival Hunt is a new ASIM game. Yeah, they just finished up a crowdfunding campaign. They did well. I don't know if I'll be streaming later. I have a ton of work to do. I wasn't going to be able to do this stream, but scheduled to open up a little bit. This is like lunch hour, basically. Then I got to go right back to work. I mean, if it's interesting enough, Burrito, yeah. Otherwise, the stream will be up, and we'll talk about it. Anytime I consult on video games, it's basically the short version of what I do for work. But sometimes that entails a lot more than just talking, and it's editing and graphic design. It's just whatever I'm told to do. Whatever I'm told to do. I don't even have an official title that I could throw into a business card. I don't know what to tell you. I do stuff. All right, here we go. Last year's getting a facelift too. Yeah, they got a new chapter or a new DLC, whatever, rebrand. New rebrand for last year coming out. I'm excited for that. All right, here we go. Let's turn this baby back up.
Out here,
God.
This is the one that you've all been asking for. The one you've all. Oh yeah, the one that this is the stream they've really
so good to see Andy
have been requesting.
Nobody gets the big boy chair if Wes isn't there. What kind of shit is that?
That the community has been wanting this stream, and you guessed it. Today we are talking all things lore about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I am Andy Cleaves. I am the community representative here at Gun Interactive. Over the last couple years, you might have seen me in the official Gun Discord, the official TX Chainsaw Game subreddit. So now you got put a face with the messages that the discourse we've had over the last couple years. We got Robert Fox II on the board producing us, the real MVP of this stream.
Legit, for real.
Yeah. Well, as y'all know, this is our lore stream. Who better to do that with other than the creative director of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Ronnie Hobbs. Ronnie?
How you doing?
Pretty well. We actually got you on stream.
You did. It's been a couple months in the planning, but I'm here. Got stuff to do.
You're a busy guy, man.
Yeah.
You're a busy guy. But we're glad to finally get this done. I know we have been teasing this stream for a little while, but Ronnie's a busy guy, man. We got to give him the time and get him out here, but we got him out here. I guess creative director, what does that mean? What do you do here at Gun?
What do I do here? a good question. No, I think as a creative director, I'm responsible for the overall creative vision of our games. So that means the creation of the game world, the characters, the implementation of all the gameplay features, art, which is obviously the game world, characters, writing. So pretty much every facet of the game I have some hand in. Obviously, within those structures are creative leads.
This is a little out of Ronnie's element, so we should be grateful he's doing it
I
at
just
all.
try to come up with a vision and a design for our games well in advance. Sometimes that takes 6-7 months. Sometimes it could be a year.
Yeah.
And then Gunn looks at it, and we all kind of approve, and we all think it's a great idea. And then obviously
always
we work
quiet,
with the
man.
developer to create the game and try to keep it, keep our vision intact while also listening to their ideas and their feedback along the way. So, yeah, a lot of that stuff. So.
Well, and I know you've touched on it in the Making the Massacre BTS video that Matt Shacha produced and shot and all that. It was such a good BTS video. You touched on a little bit, not to rehash too much of that, but you touched on how much this film, the 1974 film, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, means to you. I mean, this project in general, I guess where I'm kind of coming from is, like, when you first got word, like, okay, we're going to work on the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. This is the next game that we're going to work on. And you sat down to start planning out characters, planning out lore, planning out a lot of that kind of stuff. Like, that had to be so exciting for you. Because, spoiler alert, y'all, Ronnie and I we're both a couple of horror nerds. So I can relate to what a thrill that just had to be when that first came down. And then you got to sit down and start the creative process.
It's kind of nervous at first, obviously. Because, you talk about it for so many years before you even get the license, or you have a dream project.
You guys are pretty impatient,
I think if you asked everyone here at Gun what game they would want to make, you probably get 5-6.
It's a lore stream. What did you expect in this one?
Some people have different horror films that they love. Some people love Texas. Some people love Halloween or Nightmare on Elm Street or Scream or whatever it is, right?
Nerds!
But for me, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre was one of those films that I saw very, very early in life, 8 or 9 years old. And can pretty much tell you
technically,
everything
it is a
about that day,
podcast.
where we were at, what we were doing. It was just one of those films that left a lasting impact on you because you'd never seen it before. It was unlike anything I'd ever seen, and I'd seen lots of horror films at that age, but they were mostly the comical ones that you see on TV and things like that. So, but this felt real, the way that they shot the film, and it felt like you were there. And I think that's what kind of freaked us out as a kid. And I remember just hanging on to that for a long time. And then when I studied film in school, like in film class, Andy's holding my hand. That's fine. You can hold my hand. Then you start to dive into what makes
Andy,
that film
geez.
special. That's not so apparent when you're 8 or 9 years old, right? So
This is
I
technically
remember
game
going,
lore.
wow.
We're technically doing
okay,
it right
studying
now.
all about it, and that's when I learned who Kim Hinkle was. Because as a kid, you don't know who the screenwriter is and who the director is, unless it's like Steven Spielberg. But
Right.
So when you typically watch a horror movie, you don't know those things. But later on in life, in college and before that, I kind of figured out, man, this really is special.
Yeah.
So.
It is. And I think one thing that always, not only did it have a huge impact on horror, I mean, it had a huge impact on cinema in general.
Across the board.
Yes.
Yeah, it was one of the few horror films that crossed the boundary.
Yeah.
And it's considered art, right?
Yeah.
It's considered, they talk about it when they talk about the best films of all time.
Sure.
There's only 3 or 4 horror movies that actually penetrate that conversation, and that's one of them. So when we're talking about what game we're going to work on, what game are we going to do next, in my mind, I'm always, hey, what about Texas? What about Texas, Wes? Can we get Texas, right? So, and then once Friday the 13th came out and we were looking for our next project, it became a reality and became a possibility. And you never want to get too excited because you know how Hollywood is and you know how
I like the
go.
horror sticker
and,
that's on
so you may wait a year before
Andy's
you
tablet.
that you actually have it. So once that happened, I had already played the game 1,000 times in my head. Right.
Yeah.
Because,
you were born to do this. You were prepared. You were preparing for this for a long time,
had
essentially.
a good idea.
Is that wrong for me to say that?
No.
You were mentally kind of preparing in case you ever did get the opportunity.
I mean, that was the same with Friday the 13th, too.
Can we talk about the
knew that
flannel
game
with
worked.
shorts?
Yeah.
Long before we made it.
It's a look.
And
it's a look
I
that not
knew
many
the
of us
Texas
could pull
Chainsaw
off.
would work long before we even really got the license. So it was one of those things that to us it was a no-brainer. To me, it was a no-brainer. Wes was like, yes, this is going to work. We all kind of agreed on that. But then you have to actually do it.
Yeah. That's,
And then you actually have to sit down and start and create the world and create the characters. And like you said, that's kind of where, Kim Hinkle comes in.
Yeah. And
All the backstory.
To kind of kick off everything, we're going to kind of reminisce a little bit more about how it all started with Maria Flores. So like that whole creative process to sit down and actually conceptualize, the catalyst for our game and the characters built around.
Yeah, Nugget gets his own chair now.
Where were some
It's
inspirations
his now.
and ideas?
So no one ever sits there again.
The story itself. And when we got the license, we had several options that we could have done, obviously. We could have tried to recreate the 74 film and let you run around as Pam, Jerry, Kirk.
Sure.
Sally and Franklin and everyone, right?
Yeah.
But
I don't think it's a Tarman sticker. I was trying to look at it too.
Right.
I don't think so.
If Sally doesn't live, are you mad? So what we didn't want to do was just kind of recreate that time frame. Mm-hmm. And I didn't want to do a sequel because we know what happens.
Technically, the lore is canon,
So
right?
how could
Like
the family still be there?
technically,
We know what happens in part 2.
because
Sure.
Kim Hinkle directly consulted with it. So he
in my
approved
mind,
it.
the prequel was the only way to do it, that we could have anything interesting and new. So when I went to Kim with that idea, and when we mentioned it to them, Kim was like, "Yeah, okay, let's think about that and see what you have." So that's when I just kind of tried to come up with some characters that I knew you would empathize with. But at that point, I didn't know who they were.
Sure.
And I didn't know who the new family member was going to be. This is really, really early on.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of sat down with Kim, and we started just doing some rough ideas, but I didn't really even know what I wanted to do until I went to
Oh, that's
Texas.
Wes over there.
So
Nice,
when
so
you're asking me
handsome.
about Maria and Anna and where they came from and where Johnny and Sissy came from, a lot of that was from me just in Texas.
Just traveling around and seeing, and
Yeah.
because you traveled to hundreds of towns.
Oh, easily. I mean, a lot of our team went to Texas. So, Matt went to Texas, Ish went to Texas.
Yep.
Personally, I went to Texas about 6-7 times by myself,
Sure.
plus the trips with Matt and Ish. So pre-COVID, over the course of COVID, I was just driving around Texas. So, and it was different than Friday because Friday we had lots of film reference. There's not a lot of film
Very
reference
true.
for Texas, a movie that's that old,
Yeah.
right? And we really felt we wanted to recreate the world of Texas so that when you play it, it's actually Texas you're walking around in, and that's through photography and photogrammetry.
I see
right?
the problem.
And that's
Hold on a
where our
This might
Matt
get
trips and Ish trips came
a
in.
lot
We were
louder.
capturing lots of real photos that were used in the game world.
Mm-hmm.
But that kind of turned
There you go.
into,
I
hey, we
figured
need
it out.
photos, but also go meet with Kim.
That's got to be good now, right?
And then while you're there, look around. And it was the looking around part
Everyone dying
that
is
turned
canon,
into like an obsession.
technically.
It went from looking around 1 day to 2 days to 3 days to 12 days to
Yeah, technology. I
probably
figured it out.
60 or 70 total days. Probably a
Now
month
it's
and a
too
half
loud.
to 2 total
What do
days
you want
of
from me?
driving and talking to people and exploring cities and taking photos of old farmhouses or old slaughterhouses or just the wildflowers. And it was really a wildflower trip that I took by myself way, way, way back in the day. I'd never known about the Texas wildflowers. Even though I lived in Texas for like a year, I'd never seen them before.
Yeah, because you have to be there at a certain time of
It
year.
does. It's about for about a month in March and April when they appear, and people come from all over. So I go, but I want to see this. And it was that trip when I decided that Maria, that was going to be the connection. Because when I was talking to Kim, I'm trying not to ramble here, but when I was talking to Kim about a new family member, I was expecting a lot of no. Because you work with Hollywood, they take it very personally. It's their characters that he built. He built the hitchhiker and the cook and Leatherface, and the family as we know it.
Yeah, but did you
So
see where
for
Kim
me to
Hinkle
come up to him and
took
say,
the
"Oh, and by the
story?
way, I'm going to create."
He seems pretty open
this,
to
this
anything.
guy named Johnny who really doesn't look like the family, and people are going to find out later he's not blood related. I'm going to take away the focus from Leatherface, from the hitchhiker, from Grandpa, from the cook, and I'm going to put the entire focus on this new character who doesn't even look like part of the family.
Right.
And I'm going to use him to tell the story as like the catalyst. And I was expecting him, honestly, to just say, why not just use Sissy? I already have a backstory for her. Or maybe Johnny should be in the background a little bit. Maybe she runs into the hitchhiker. But in fact, he said, that's a great idea. And that kind of threw me for a loop. And that was my starting relationship with Kim of, it wasn't no's across the board. It was, that's a great idea. You're like, what? So that's kind of how he thought it'd be cool to let me use Johnny So
you had to be fanboy so big in that moment.
No, it was really great because it was refreshing because
Yes.
for him to listen to ideas and not just listen to them, but
Doesn't
go,
Andy
yeah,
just bring,
let's use Johnny
like a happy
as
energy
that
for once to
person who
these
can go
fucking
away
streams.
from the family and interact with poor Maria.
Yeah.
So I knew I had Johnny. I knew I wanted him to be out and about.
You should have been there
and,
the entire time.
we can get
dude.
back to him later.
Yeah. And we will.
But really traveling around aspect of seeing the wildflowers and then knowing that I wanted one of the two sisters to be on that trip.
Sure.
I really loved the idea of two sisters, an older one and a younger one. And I knew I wanted the younger sister to try to come save the older sister because she mentally would be less prepared to do that. And I wanted to put that focus on Anna. And I felt that would be better than the older sister trying to find the young one, which you see a lot, right?
Yeah,
I wanted this young
that's
girl
true.
to try to like, oh God, right? So that's where that came from. But we can get into those characters a little more specifically.
Yeah, we will.
Yeah.
And just so everyone's clear, we're gonna break we're gonna break down. We're gonna go through victim by victim, family by family
It's gonna be a
member.
long stream, huh?
We're gonna touch on a lot of things here. Ronnie, at the end, Ronnie also shared the story of the his Instagram, shared the post about this stream to his Instagram story.
Yep.
He took about like 8 to 10 questions that we'll do at the end. But we're going to try to roll through this because we don't want to sit here for 3 hours going through.
Yeah.
But we also, we want to make sure this was such a highly requested stream that, we want to make sure that we cover a lot of bases here and get you guys all the information you can.
Yeah.
One thing as a diehard fan of the original film myself and just a diehard horror fan in general, some things that I've liked that you have done is finding connections from our characters that you've created to the OG family members like Hitchhiker and Leatherface and Cook. One, for instance, that I just think is super cool is the Polaroid camera. The camera that Hitchhiker has in the '74 film. He got that from Maria.
Yeah.
So those are the connections that I really dig, and like, how does that, how did you even think of that? Just it's so cool to me, man.
The camera thing was actually very interesting because I knew I wanted Maria, this sweet, beautiful, hardworking girl who had worked her way from nothing.
Sure.
Finally got a chance to go to college. Their dad passed away a couple years earlier. Maria's working jobs, trying to take care of her younger sister, Anna, and her mother. Mm-hmm. She finally works hard enough. She gets to go to college, this awesome college, UT, right? And when she gets there, she wants to study photography. And her family had saved up money to buy her this camera. So it meant a lot.
Right.
Right. And she's out
It's a big
taking
moment,
photos.
yeah.
And unfortunately, she runs into Johnny. There's a saying, like, the wildflowers bring out rattlesnakes. That's what they do.
Yeah.
Because the rattlesnakes come to look for prey in the flowers. When you're walking around the flower, you have to be careful.
Yep.
And I always picture Johnny as that rattlesnake, right?
Yeah.
Maria just being there trying to take photos. But she had a camera. And there was one point in development where I was talking to Wes, and he was like, where'd she get this camera? And I was like, well, that's a good question. We should figure that out. And because at this point, we hadn't even designed what the camera looked like.
Right.
Right. And it was like just an object.
Yeah.
Because you have to design these things one at a time. And that's when I think either he or I were like, wait, that's the Hitchhiker's camera. Right. Behind the scenes, that's what we wanted to do with it. But then we had to get Kim to say yes. So once again, there's another example of where you would expect to know from Kim.
Sure.
Turns out that is an incredible idea. And we're like, imagine that, because it's such it's the Hitchhiker's camera, right? He carries it around, and it's so
memorable. That whole van scene with him when they pick him up. That is such a memorable scene from the film.
So in order for him to let us tie that to Maria and give validation to her
it is
character,
a good idea.
Sure.
that's an incredible thing to ask of
Absolutely.
someone who created one of the biggest horror movies ever made.
Absolutely.
And he said yes. Or else we would have had to make a generic camera.
Sure.
Right? So she would have always had a camera taking photos, but to be able to tie that in, that's just remarkable for us. And it's a really cool feeling knowing that when you watch that movie, like, that's Maria's camera you got there, buddy.
Yep.
It belongs to Maria, asshole. Right? So that's a really cool feeling, I think. So
Speaking of things that belong to Maria.
So, by the way,
there you go,
sorry,
buddy.
if you notice on the
They got the satchel.
missing persons poster,
The
it says
satchel?
brown satchel. This is it. This is the only one that we have, by the way. And Look at you. Our old lady blanket. Nancy's blanket is
falling apart.
falling down.
Fall apart.
But this is her satchel, and it's the only one we have. And
That isn't original.
it's been driving her. I've had it in my truck, in the front seat of my truck for about a year now. I don't know what to do with it. So we should probably just, like, I don't know, give it away
Yeah,
to someone.
maybe.
That's up to you all, though. So you have to, like, coordinate. Sorry, social team. But we could possibly give this away. So you let us know if you think you want to maybe win this or something, because this did belong to Maria. It's actually hers. Wait, what's in the pocket?
See,
It's beautiful.
So anyway, it's a really cool
that's
bag.
what I was waiting.
It
I was
is.
like, something in that bitch.
We're not going to tell you where it came from, but other than Maria. So anyway, that's her bag. So if you're wondering why we have a woman's satchel next to us. So, yeah, let us know if you think you want to win that, and we'll try to think of something cool. Unless the social team's like, Ronnie, shut the hell up.
Yeah.
But yeah, proceed.
But so let's start going through the victims in a little bit.
All right.
These are
I like
more
Ronnie's
generalization questions about the victims, and these are things that I've kept my eyes out on. You, the community, the last couple of years, I've seen all these questions. All of us here on the community team have seen it. So luckily, when I tell you things like when we tell you on Reddit, we'll notate it, we'll pass it along. We mean that, and this is
And
a
they're
prime.
passing it along to me, and they're like, Ronnie, give us an answer. Yes.
Confirm. Do I pass things along to you?
For the record, Andy does come to my office routinely and be like, hey, man, you got a minute? Right, and that minute's usually about an hour.
that makes sense.
And he's like, I got a couple questions. Here's 700 of them. And I'm like, Andy, I appreciate it, bud, but
Bro, I got like 500 lines to write.
I
Get the
usually
hell out
say,
of my office.
I'll get back to you. And therein lies the problem. I don't get back to him. Or I get back to him with like 2 answers out of like 700. So don't yell at Andy if he can't get you the answer you want. You can yell at me. Because he's trying.
I do. We try. We all do. But always keep that feedback coming
Yeah.
on all our socials. Sid, Jet, myself. We're always listening. We're always passing it along. So
What, feedback?
Yeah, always.
Or questions?
Questions, feedback. Yeah, no. All
I like
of
to
it.
mess with Andy. So,
But let's see. Let's move on.
who we got first?
So this is more of a generalization question, but
Yeah.
as far as like we know our victims outside of Anna, of course. Went to the University of Texas. They're students at
Yes.
the University of
This
Texas.
is a lore stream.
How did they all link up? Like Leland,
Yeah.
Sunny, Julie.
lost your damn mind,
Who
dog?
met
Okay.
who first? Like who's in the like? How did that all come about?
Yeah. Let me rewind just for 1 second.
Sure.
So on those trips,
Yep.
I went to several towns in the Southwest. I was trying to find the home where these girls lived, like the perfect town in real life where Anna and Maria could come from.
Sure.
So there's like Medina, there's like Bandera, Uvalde down there, and there's a section. There's a heavy population of Latinas. And when I went there, I didn't know that. And I spent several days in that town walking around, just taking photos
Pitbull
and
German
chatting
Shepherd.
with anyone that I could.
Sure.
So she's
And
smart,
it's a small town, so
strong,
they knew I wasn't
and
from
annoying.
there. So eventually you talk to conversations about
Yeah.
like, hey, the antique store owner or some coffee shop or a cafe and a waitress. But the one story I routinely heard over and over and over, especially from young females, it was really strange. It was mostly young females about how they were in a single parent home. Their parents had moved here from Mexico, and they had to help support the family.
Yeah.
And there was this
Speak
common
for yourself.
theme.
I want Maria's back.
Keep
Over and
watching,
over and over. I mean,
or I'll
I probably
fucking
heard
kill
10
you.
I gotta
different
turn those
stories out
off.
of
Holy
60
shit.
people I spoke to. So no matter what the job was, there was a consistent theme about
Your ear just
that
got
girl in
wrecked,
high
my
school
bad.
having to work a job just to help support their mother and their younger sister because the dad had died earlier or they weren't around. And it was a kind of an amazing
It's a
thing. And that's where
satchel.
Anna Maria came
Hey, there are
from.
Skittles in
and
there.
I love that idea of
Yeah.
2 sisters trying to overcome things when
Yeah.
they had very, very little. So I knew the town where I wanted them to live. That's about 100 miles away from Austin. So I knew I needed to get them to Austin to go to school to
Got
meet
it.
all of her current friends. So a lot of people are confused about Maria and Anna. Anna's back home.
Yes.
So Anna still lives back home. She just now graduated.
Yeah.
So she doesn't, I don't want to say this yet. We'll get to her in a second. But Maria goes off to college.
Yep.
And it's there that she meets the current group of victims that you know and play as in our game. In particular, she met Leland because Leland's high school mascot is actually Coyotes. So in
Georgetown.
our game, Georgetown Coyotes. In real life, not so much. Uvalde is Coyotes. So she sees
That's
Leland.
the
She sees Leland with his Coyotes shirt on. She's like, "Take that off, dude. Not the Coyotes. We are." Like, no, bro. You know. And
Her competitive spirit.
Yes,
coming
she
out.
gets up in his face, kind of like in a joking manner, and he's like, "Who is this girl?" Right? What do you mean, take it off? And then he's like, "Oh yeah, you go to school there." And that's how they met. Really, was just Maria confronting Leland about some silly shirt, a mascot he had on his shirt. You know, it's a jokingly kind of thing. And then they became friends. And Leland said, "Hey, meet my other friends here." You know, so Leland had already known Julie and Connie and Sunny and stuff like that. So really,
So they were already a little click on.
yeah.
Got
So
it.
Maria was introduced to them, and that's how they got to know Anna. So Anna is basically the little sister.
So Anna's
You
the,
know,
the odd
so-
man out.
And of course, that's when they meet Danny as well. Danny's part of that group, and that's when Danny and Maria meet, and they start talking about their past, and they kind of hit it off
Right,
and kind
Danny
of fall
Maria,
in love.
not
'Cause they have
Danny
similar
and Julie.
upbringings, which we'll get to in a minute. But that's really how they met. So meanwhile, Anna's still back home. She doesn't get to go to college yet. She may not ever get to go to college. You know, the family saved that money for Maria, not Anna. So there's a whole story about Anna here that we'll get to. But yeah, that's kind of how they met, was because he had the Georgetown Coyotes jacket on.
Yeah, and the level of responsibility that comes with that for Anna too. You know, it
Yeah,
really
Danny and Maria are dating.
really makes sense for the character and of the groundwork of how she was
and
created.
how tough she is.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
so.
absolutely. Absolutely. And I think she's definitely one I think a lot of the community gravitates to. How can you
Yeah.
not? I mean, literally, how can you not in my life?
Well, wait, you'll hear more today, and you'll really like her. So she'll get some more sympathy votes today.
Yeah. One other thing I want to touch on real quick. We'll do this real quick, and then we'll get to victim by victim. It's kind of cut from the same cloth as the hitchhiker's camera.
Explains why Anna's
that he
so
got it from
strong,
Maria.
though, right?
Another thing that I like that you did that connects to the first film is the setup for our victims, how they got there, and the usage of well, actually, why don't you just tell the story? I don't want to spoil it. We have maybe shared this in a hub post a couple years ago. I'm sure some of you already are aware of this, but some of you I bet are not. The setup of our game of how the victims got captured and all that.
Yeah.
The
Yeah,
campsite.
so when I was talking to Kim about the story, I told him just flat out from the beginning, I go, I don't want to just do the kids ran out of gas, right? I don't want them to meet Leatherface, and that's how it happens, or the hitchhiker. That's why I want Johnny to go out, take the focus away from the house. Even though it's such a symbol in the first film, I need this
first
new
of all, we
character
need
to kind
Leland
of
to have a Letterman on, too.
bring our new
I've
kids
been waiting on the
there.
Letterman
on
cosmetics.
purpose, as opposed to we're lost, knock on the door, and they get killed, right? And he was like, okay, that's interesting. I was like, that's where the wildflowers come in. That's where Maria comes in, and that's where we have this stalker, serial killer
The hoodie guy?
version of Ted Bundy and Richard Ramirez and all these other weird serial
Summer?
killers mixed into this person who can go out and do these things. And he's like, I like it. And he's like, so how are the kids going to find them? And that's always
Great
a
question,
tough thing
Kim.
to do.
It is.
So the investigation goes into Maria. They find her car on the road where the house is. So that's where they find the car. That's in the news report. In our first trailer,
Yep.
you know, the police do find her car. There's no signs of foul play in the car.
Yeah.
So that would be her looking for wildflowers, right? Getting out, parking, things like that. Unfortunately, she never got back in the car.
Yeah.
But it looks normal. There's no signs of struggle. There's no blood. So they do know that she was last seen around that area.
Right.
And that's a report that comes out. So Anna hasn't heard from her sister in about a week. And that never happens. They're very, very close. Maria always calls home.
Okay, we're at a week.
Even Leland and Danny and all those people, Connie, they haven't seen her, you know. So they're like, something's weird here. And Anna is taking the responsibility of saying, this isn't right. Like, I'm not just going to sit here 100 miles away while my sister is missing. And that's where the younger sister getting the courage to, like, go find her older sister. Because it'd be easy just to sit 100 miles away and go, I don't know what to do, Mom. What are we going to do? Let the police handle it. But she's not. 'Cause that's not Anna.
That's not in her DNA at
Yes.
all.
Yeah. So she's like, no, we're going. So she calls her friends. She calls Maria's friends and go, have you seen her? Anybody heard from her? And they're like, no, we still haven't heard from her. So Anna says, you know what? I'm coming, and we're going. And it's Anna that initiates the thing. So Anna's not at college. I've seen some people think that.
Yeah.
Anna's back home 100 miles away.
Correct.
And she's the one that wrangles Maria's friends, although they want to go.
Yeah, they want to
It's
go.
Anna that initializes the whole
But
conversation.
Anna's the leader of the whole mission.
So now we have them all in the same car, except Danny.
Right.
So Danny's different. So
And we'll get to that, why
Yeah.
that is later.
so then they're going this
all
base off.
Anna's
So
fault.
she was last seen in Newt. Her car was found on this road. And as you know, in any small town, the first place you go is the gas station. You always stop at a gas station if you need directions.
Especially in this time.
Yeah, or the police
Even
station.
nowadays,
Or
yeah.
a police station. Yeah, especially in a small town, there ain't a whole lot of structures.
Absolutely.
Right? So they had a game plan and a direction to go to. So they weren't just hunting blindly. And that was very important for me. I didn't want them just to stumble upon a location. So when they get to the gas station, the cook realizes, he sees the missing persons poster that they hand up, and he knows who they're looking for. And the cook's like, here we go. Once again, I got to clean up everybody's mess. So it's that point where the cook goes, you know what? I think I recognize her, kind of. Maybe. You know, I tell you what, though, it's getting dark. I live up in that house. I got a campground out back. People use it all the time. It's safe. How about you camp there tonight, and then tomorrow, I'll see if I can't help you. I'll take you into town or whatever, you know, whatever spin, whatever snake oil salesman he puts on the spin, right?
He's
they
good
go,
at that.
Yeah, they go camping at the campsite you see in the original film
And that's what I was...
that, you know, Kirk and Pam walk by.
Yep.
And you can see a little watch hanging there. You can see some remnants of a tent.
Yep. It's only a few frames.
Yeah.
You know.
So the family, once they're camping, the family kind of comes out and ambushes them and drags them back in the house and captures them. So that's kind of how our story kicks off.
Yep.
Of the cook knowing that he had to do something.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was really cool to tie that to the original film. Once again, that's another scenario where Kim said yeah,
That's so cool.
and it played out a similar way. I think we were talking here, me and Wes, and maybe some other people, and
My damn
like
dog
where'd they
barks
go?
at nothing.
How'd they
all
get
day.
there? Where'd they stay?
Yeah.
Like when do they get captured?
Yep.
How? So that little piece of that moment from the film perfectly allows us to do that.
Yep.
So that's kind of how we tied that together.
And again, I'm going to repeat this a lot. I'm a huge fan of the original film. Can't hide it. It is what it is.
Yeah.
But the horror nerd in me appreciates these kind of things. And, you know, like I said, it's really, you can only see it in a few frames in the final cut of the film. But there is a deleted scene of that as well.
Yeah.
I think you can even find that on some behind the scenes.
One of the cuts.
Yeah, one of the
Something.
yeah.
Damn.
There is a deleted scene where Kirk and Pam do go to this campground. So to kind of like lean into that even more for this, I love it. As a fan.
It was awesome. Like just to put a bow on.
Yeah.
You know, and it would be fine without it probably. But it was cool to tie that together.
No, that's with Hitchhiker's Camera being Maria's and that tie-in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those are the kind of things that really just hit me in the heart and just I love.
Yeah,
personally.
it's more authentic that
Yeah.
way, and that's kind of we obviously we try to focus on that. So if it's there, try to use it.
Yeah,
in a way if it makes sense. So
well, you want to start off with Sunny?
let's go. What do you want to know about Sonny?
Well, let's see.
About his girlfriend?
Oh,
His
number
girlfriend.
love
Yeah.
interest for Sunny?
Who? Is she in the
Yes.
game yet?
So people really don't know a lot about Sonny.
Yeah.
They know he's kind of a nerdy guy, I guess, a little bit, because he's smart. I guess they assume he's a nerd, and he is. But yes, he does have a girlfriend. Just so we're clear, like, there's a lot of stuff that I create a lot of miscellaneous things for this
Virginia's
game
like 45.
that never see the light of day. Sometimes they're pieces of concept art just because I want to visually see it happen.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's text. Sometimes it's lots of variations of the script. Sometimes it's VO lines that get thrown away. I've made structures that get deleted. There was one corpse I made that was so disgusting that we took it out of the game. Like, it was too much. So there's full 3D models of just gore and things that we made to put in the game to see how it looked, and then we delete them. So Sonny's girlfriend never got deleted, but what I didn't get to do was create concept art because it wasn't a main character.
Right.
So a lot of these relationships are things that I know that I never got around to making concept art for because they were never going to be playable. They're not in the game, and it's just lore based.
So
unfortunately, I don't have
not gonna
this
happen?
of her.
Okay.
But her name's June.
I was just gonna say, does she have a name?
She does. It's June. And what's funny is I never really got around to deciding what she looked like. But I do know she was very important to Sunny. So if the community wants to take a shot at like creating June or what they think Sunny's girlfriend looks like, that'd be great. And you can just send it to me.
Get on it, folks.
You can send it to Andy or me or whatever you want to do. But it'd be cool and interesting to see. But
That'd be a fun
she's
little
nerdy like him.
contest.
And
Whatever gets put into the game.
And Sunny's into like 2001: The Space Odyssey.
Oh,
like
as am I.
He's into like War of the Worlds and like the early Godzilla films. Like he's a
50s sci-fi buff, ain't he?
He is, but he's got some slick clothes, right?
Right.
So you don't.
He does got the drips,
He
man.
does.
He
So
really does.
You don't really expect that out of him.
Yeah.
But that's where his intelligence level comes in. He's really just a big nerd. And him and June are like these. She gave him a bracelet, so some of some other items. So some of Sunny's clothing could be from June, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So you ever seen two people that are afraid to like fully commit, but they like each other and they don't know what to do?
Sure.
They're both afraid to like kind of make the first move. That's them. Yeah. They're like this cute nerdy couple that doesn't really know what to do, and they just like adore each other. But that's Sunny. He's such a nerd. But yeah, he does have a girlfriend. Her name is June. I don't know what she looks like.
Well,
I never got around to making her.
I'm going to go on a limb here.
Yeah.
But I'm going to suspect that we will see some fan art of June in the coming weeks.
So,
and days.
She watches the movies
this
with
community.
him. Yeah.
They are.
So Sunny's really like the biggest sweetheart in the world. Like because he's just such a nerd. And of course because of that he's going to go, right?
Yeah.
It's not like the toughest guy in the world, but he's definitely going to go try to find his friend.
Sure.
So he tells June, "Hey, I'll be back."
He may not use
and that's like the last thing he said to her was, "I'll be
June
back."
doesn't have braces. We
He
ride.
uses his wits.
And she's like, "Here, take this," and it's
this.
jewelry, right? Yeah. So anyway, that's Sunny. But yeah, he just is Sunny.
Is there anyone in the original
Crying
group?
tomato head. I
that
turn off
he's
alerts
closest
to not
with,
cover
like
this
a
up, but I
Leland
appreciate you.
or-
$5
What's funny
June on an
is-
hour, probably.
Leland is his boy.
So
Oddly enough, they are really, really close.
What's up, Jared?
Okay.
And it's in that big brother kind of way. Pick on you.
Nico was probably already ready for
kind of
this
way.
already.
Okay.
He's trying to give. I always pictured Leland giving Sunny girlfriend advice. Like, come on, dude, just talk to her. Like, what are you waiting on? Imagine like talking to the guy who doesn't want to make a move at all, and Leland's just like, whatever, dude, come on, bro, just make a move.
I just visualize that in my head, and it's like absolutely perfect.
Because whatever advice he gave him would be wrong.
Right?
We've seen that.
Absolutely.
We've seen that in every movie, right? Where it's like, oh, just do this, man, and they do it, and the girl laughs at them, right?
Yeah, you think the wrestling jock from Georgetown, Texas would
Godzilla
know.
Sure Sunny would
And
be
then
sick.
and then June kind of laughs at him.
Something they
like,
should look into.
Quit being stupid.
Quit listening to
Quit
Leland.
being dumb. Where'd you get that at? So that's how their dynamic.
Leland told me. Well, stop listening to Leland.
Yeah, but I think you can see where that goes.
Yeah, for sure.
But I'd say they're definitely the closest, Leland and Sunny.
That warms my heart. and it's cool too because they're kind of in a sense polar opposite. One's kind of a jock, and then or not kind of. He is. Yeah. He's an established jock and wrestler in Georgetown, Texas, and Sunny's the one that uses his wits and his brain to beat you, not his muscles. So it's
the contrast.
Yes,
and that's why it works.
Yes,
if there was another nerd, I wouldn't want him and Sunny to be friends.
No,
that'd be obvious.
That'd be obvious
Yeah.
So
a lot of these things I've never just told anyone. These are all these things that help define the character as we're making them, and to help me figure out who they are. So.
Yeah, he does it pretty high.
And he's
strength,
hearing it for the first
but his
time,
toughness
too.
is bad.
Yes.
So he does.
It's very true. I wanted to learn just like as you guys are right now. So, this is so far this is a lot of fun. I'm having a blast, guys. I can't even tell you. Let's move on to Julie, who I lived in Los Angeles in California for 15 years myself. She is a sporty SoCal girl.
You kind of have to be.
Yeah. Voiced by the great Scout Compton.
Yep. Who's also a California type of girl.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah, just a little bit.
So as far as Julie, let's see what we got here.
What do people want to know about Julie?
Well, I would say from what I see around our community, I feel like she's the one I see most requested more info on. Not, it's not that we haven't tried to give more info, but I feel like that there's this sentiment that, gosh, we really need some more about Julie. What makes her tick, some coming of age moments to make her who she is and stuff like that.
She definitely has that, because what you see now is like this confident Julie. She's beautiful. She carries herself well.
Yep.
Right. She's tough and strong, and even on her appearance, if you just look at her appearance, you would think that she's never had any problems.
Right.
Right. Yeah. Like, she looks very confident in the way she carries herself.
Sure.
And even her VO lines are like that. There's not a lot of self-doubt in there. But that wasn't always the case. I always pictured Julie as the girl who got hurt and then recovered and said, no, I've had enough. So, as a freshman, she was dating a senior, and they went to prom, and then he graduated and left and never talked to her again.
Julie?
Just left Julie in the dust, went to college, nothing from her. Just completely gone date, out of her life. Well, like, this happens a lot.
Julie girl, you much better off.
Exactly.
Tried to get you.
The Julie you see now. So then she tried to find herself. Like, I'm never going to let that happen again. I'm not going to let some dude do that to me ever again. And part of her soundtrack and the playlist, 2 of her favorite songs are about that. They're about overcoming that and becoming a new person.
Yeah.
And not letting a guy ever do that again. Not a girl or guy.
Sure.
Mess with your emotions, make you feel that way, put you down, use you. Mm-hmm. So out comes new Julie out of this world. And she starts dressing more confident in the way that she knows. Like, she's like, okay, I'm going to start showing off. I don't care.
I know who I am.
Yeah, I know who I am.
Yeah.
And I want you to look at me and like me, because you're not getting me, kind of thing. Right? And that plays into her relationship with Leland. Where, so when you get to him and you ask me about him and Julie.
Yeah. Well, we can.
Julie does like him, but she's not.
She's playing hard to get,
ready.
Huh? She's playing hard to get.
She's trying to make him earn it, kind of.
Yeah.
Poor Leland.
Like, no, I've been down this road before. I dated the king of the school, and he left me in the dust after he took me to prom. Like, you could be that same thing. And that's what she sees in Leland. So she likes him.
She likes him, but there's still that little fear and doubt in the back of her head.
Yeah, because she doesn't want to commit. Like, she doesn't want to be like, yeah, I'm in it, and then be afraid to get hurt. So Julie is very closed off for that reason, because she's like, no, I don't want to go back to that. And if I put up this wall, I feel like we're in a soap opera here, but if I put up this wall, you can't hurt me.
The days of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yes. So that's her story and how she kind of evolved into the Julie you see now, which is why I really wanted Scout to do her voice, because
when she did
Scout is super
job.
confident.
Oh, yeah.
If you've ever been around Scout, she's confident. You would never know if something like that happened to her.
Right.
Right. And I'm sure like everyone it has. But it's what you see now, and that's the new Julie. So yeah, her relationship with Leland is a little weird. She does like him, and she wants to do that, but she's still trying to figure out if he's going to hurt her, or trying to make him earn it, get to know him more. But he's like, no, he loves her, like he's all in. But
Jules,
she's like,
Jules,
not so fast.
I know, yeah,
yeah.
So a lot
like
of Julie came from that little relationship
like that to Leland.
So when we designed her character, confident, strong, she's like stamina.
Yeah.
Like she plays sports. She's got the confidence there. So we just needed to know how she got to that part.
She's fast
and she got there by
boy.
being stepped on and kind of used by this guy. So there was, fall for the high school senior.
I hope, can't blame her for feeling that way.
Yeah.
You really can't. That's a good
Andy's
segue
so
into
invested.
Leland.
Yeah. So what do you got for Leland? What we got?
Let's see. Let's take a peek.
See, what you guys don't know about Andy, if he wasn't working at Gun and sitting on that couch right now,
there was a hub post that came out
right
a couple
now,
years ago
committed
that
to this
Matt
stream.
Chacha wrote. And it was a
He's a real one.
Great piece on him. It talks about, he was kind of the king of the world in the wrestling
That's those
days
glute
at Georgetown
muscles,
High
man.
School.
That's where the
He
speed
kind of,
comes from.
he was on that pedestal. He was a really
Yeah.
good wrestler. And then there's like, was once he got to the University of Texas, was there like kind of like this transition for him? Was it a weird transition for him, I guess? Because you're far away. I mean, it's not that you're far away from home, but going to the University of Texas, leaving Georgetown.
They got an old lady.
There's a difference there.
Right
there's only, Georgetown's probably
hit.
20 miles.
Okay.
30 minutes away.
Yeah.
So it's now they probably almost consider it a suburb
Sure.
of Austin, but it's not. It's a different city. For Leland, if you haven't guessed, not a lot of characters in the game have a happy ending.
I don't even have a lunch break at all.
So I don't know if you put
That's
that
not
two and two together.
contractor life, you know.
Wait, they're called victims, right?
Yes.
But I don't
so
get off
even
at
their
5
life
either.
has a lot of that. Their backstory has a lot of that. So yes, he wrestled in high school, and like many people in high school who play sports and they're really good, doesn't mean you're going to be able to play at the next level. So here you have this super confident guy,
Relatable.
Leland, who has had to work for it.
Yeah.
Like you don't just get handed that. It's
Sure.
years and years of training to be a good wrestler, and then he figures out he can't go to college and wrestle because he's not good enough. Like being good enough in being the best in a pond is not the same as the ocean.
Bro,
Definitely not.
So he
So
can't go
relatable.
wrestle. So now he
small
has
town
to
life.
go through college trying to find himself again. Every bit of his identity was wrestling in high school, and now he's just Leland.
So is it?
He's the guy who used to be Leland.
Yeah,
if that
so
makes sense.
No, absolutely, it makes sense. So it's safe to say that when he got to college, there were some confidence issues going on.
Yeah,
with him.
and he doesn't know who he is anymore, and he's trying to find himself. One thing that people don't know, and part of Leland came from, like, I love a show called Friday Night Lights. I love the movie as well. I've seen it about 150 times, but I've seen the show, every episode, about 1,000.
Mm-hmm.
It's my comfort show. I put it on and watch it. There's a character named Tim Riggins, who, if you Google him, every girl will know who that is,
Yeah.
and half the guys will. Anyway, he graduates. He's like the star, but after that, nothing. And one girl says to him one time, "Aren't you the guy who used to be Tim Riggins?" And he's like, "I'm still Tim Riggins." Or how's it feel to be the guy who used to be Tim Riggins, right?
Right.
Because he was so popular and such a star, and now he's not. And that's Leland a little bit. That's what do you do after you have nothing? Everything you've had is gone, and you just have to exist. And you've had your whole identity just not taken, but you lost it in a way. So
Yeah.
and now he sees Julie, and he likes her, and he's not used to that. He's not used to a girl telling him no. He's not used to
Yeah.
some beautiful girl like Julie saying,
Yeah.
dude,
What was
He's
that?
not used to
What were those-
rejection.
what were those
he's,
hand
not, he's
gestures?
not used to being the best wrestler.
he's not used to losing.
Yeah.
He's not used to rejection. But in a way, he's just as fragile as anybody. And that's why I needed him to fail at college, so that he can just be Leland and not
Yeah.
just continue that star wrestler, has it all. I needed him to get turned down by Julie a little bit,
Well,
just in my head, to help define the character. And to give Julie more power, to keep that power dynamic of, try this again, keep going. One day when I think you've earned it enough, we'll go out, kind of thing. Right. So that's Leland in a way. It's, just a high school kid who had it all and just has slowly realized it's over.
yeah.
Which, believe me, that's not just related to athletes.
Yeah.
That's half the kids that go to college, whether you're in band
Oh, absolutely.
or you studied art in high school or whatever it is, and you
Oh, yeah.
figure
No,
out
I
when you
can
go to
relate.
college.
I don't look like it now, but I was
Yeah.
a really good athlete in high school.
And then when you go to college, and
True.
it's
Andy was
either
a hell of a
maybe
pitcher.
you do make a team
True
or you
story.
ride the bench.
Yeah.
Maybe
Hell of a baseball pitcher.
you're the worst player on the team now when you were the best player in high school. Yeah,
I can relate. I was humbled.
we're both sitting here for that reason.
Yeah, absolutely. I can totally relate to Leland. It's one last thing on Leland. Back to him and Sunny. He and Sunny
Yeah.
being very tight. When he was going through these transitions and these confidence issues, did he speak to Sunny about that?
Oh yeah, and what's funny is Sonny is like, dude, why you listen to you complain? You had it all, dude. What are you talking about? Like, I've been on like 2 days my whole life, right? So it's like, why am I helping you? It's like it's totally this dynamic of.
Well,
why are
Jimmy, you don't
complaining?
have to watch
Right.
it, you silly goose.
You've had it all. I've never had it. And there's that dynamic back and forth where it is funny to hear like Sonny in my head talk to Leland and like give him advice. Because now Leland, in a way, is on a level playing field
Yes.
with Sonny, and he's not used to it. So
That because it's gotta be so unique for each of them. Like, Sunny, what do you mean you're coming to me?
Yeah, I should be coming to you.
What are you talking about?
Yeah,
bro?
so it's very weird, kind of funny dynamic between the two.
I love that
Yeah.
so much.
It's very unexpected. I'm sure people didn't expect them to be friends. So
Yeah.
I think you can make a whole show out of them too.
We need it.
Yeah.
I mean, I played
let's
baseball
move
my
on
whole
to our
life,
next
too.
victim.
I still respect
Connie
still respect other talent out
from
there.
Farmtown in Illinois.
I'm from
Illinois, right? I got that
Illinois.
right, don't I?
You are correct.
Yeah.
Paris, Illinois,
Yeah,
not
Paris.
Paris, France.
Yeah, Paris, Illinois.
I know
Farmtown.
Real
where
place.
Paris, Illinois
Yeah,
is.
it is a
Didn't
real
know.
place.
Not much there.
Not much.
But
And so that probably put her in a little bit of a box growing up, a little bit.
yeah, I think when people think of farm girl, like, oh, she wasn't oppressed.
Right.
She wasn't. It wasn't like, oh, it's the preacher's daughter or the farmer's daughter. She has to rebel. That was never her, and that was never her relationship with her parents. So it wasn't like, I have to be a good girl, so when I get to college, I'm going to be bad. It wasn't that dynamic. It was
Okay.
just,
Hill Moxley, appreciate you.
I spent
dude.
time growing up on a farm, and she's in the middle of nowhere. I mean, it's a 30-minute drive just to see her friends. It's like to get to the school. It's if you grow up on a farm and you have to work physically, like manual labor for everything. Hey, fix this, fix that, fix this, and you're relying on your crops or whatever to buy you things, right?
Sure.
It's a hard life, and that's what kind of gives her her ingenuity of how she can fix things, and she's very crafty and smart. So even though she's this stunningly beautiful girl, like she's got that work ethic, and she can just be covered in dirt and be okay with it because she knows like the value of hard work and growing up on a farm. But it was never, my dad won't let me date, or my dad won't let me do this. I can't wait to leave.
Okay.
It's more about just imagining her thinking, is there more out there? Right. A lot of
Self-discovery, if you will.
yeah, a lot of small town kids you don't get to see. You see movies, you see
Yep.
magazines, you're like, there's another world out there for me. If I can just get to college in a big city, I can get my life going. And really that's Connie just wanting to get out and explore and get her life moving. She feels like, okay, I got to get out of this farm. It's not because she hates it.
Yeah.
It's not because she feels like her dad's like, be home by 8. It's not that at all. Like, perfect relationship with her parents. She loves them to death. But it's just, I got to get out of here.
Yeah.
I can't wait to go to college because I know there's something more in this world for
I
me.
can totally relate.
So normally that'd be a happy story.
Only took an
Like
hour
I
to pop
said.
those lower
Sure.
thirds
Like,
back
she
up.
works hard, does all the right things, gets to go to college, her dream school, gets to go to Austin, big city, infinite possibilities.
You don't gotta yell at
Her
me,
whole
Jimmy.
life's ahead of her, and then just kind of made the wrong
If
friends.
the lore's not for you, it's not for you.
Right.
That's okay.
It's bound to happen.
But yeah, so that's Connie, and people
I
always
like
ask.
shit like this, but I'm
I was
also
never
a
going to
loser,
say this
so.
because it's just for me personally. But
Oh,
people want to know who her boyfriend is.
okay. Yeah.
Actually-
I see it all the time.
She likes a girl. There's a
Oh.
girl in her high school that she really likes.
Now all of a
And
sudden it's gotten
Connie.
spicy.
She did, and she had to leave her behind. That was her girlfriend didn't get to come, so Connie had to choose: stay behind, like a lot of people do after high school. Do you
Sure.
stay behind for your high school sweetheart and derail your life, or do you leave him?
She goes again. Just
And that's Connie's story, but she's been trying to get out of this forever. And she had another guy she was interested in too, but she just became
so
friends with this
she's
girl. and it
bisexual.
grew into more than that, and
Safe to say she
did
fell
each
in love
other.
with this girl?
She did, and then she had to make the decision to leave her. So once again, all of our
Hard.
characters have to do something. Their stories all have an underlying.
But Connie
tone,
left behind this
either
girl
try to,
in
like, have some
in
self-sacrifice.
Illinois,
You have to
so
do this. You have to overcome
probably
this.
no
or
chance
they
of
get
that
hurt.
being a future
There's
character.
no clean victory here
Shame.
for anyone. So really, that's Connie having to leave
Hey, Flock, I
one
see
of the
you, dude.
few
Appreciate
people
you,
behind
man. Have a good day.
that she likes and trusts.
Yep.
Just to
you.
continue living her life.
Yep.
So, and that happens, I think, every day.
I can't see the chat right now, but I'm gonna guess it's exploding.
About Connie?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
So,
I like that about her.
okay, good. Yeah, so Connie
Slob.
is not
Yes, it
maybe,
is.
I don't know what people thought, but, she's definitely maybe not that. So, yeah. I
I love that.
visually, I wanted her to blend in and to just obviously she's beautiful and like she's just perfect, everything about her, but I wanted something more than that. That's why she is very, very good at picking locks, and she's got that homemade skill of overcome. Hey, fix the tractor. Hey, fix this.
Hell yeah.
Hey, our fence fell down. We got to fix it. We can't hire anyone to make it.
Right.
She's completely tough, but she may not look like it.
Yeah.
She's not, wearing overalls or something like you would expect, maybe. So I like the contrast of her beauty versus what she can actually do. She could put up a fence and I couldn't.
Right. Nor could I.
Right. So I love that dynamic. She kind of reminded me of like Jodie Foster a little bit.
Oh,
when
love that.
When I was thinking of her character.
Okay.
About.
Interesting.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Sorry, I never told you that.
Light bulb just went off.
So like, Jodie Foster has that beauty, but she's also tough.
Yes.
And that's kind of part of her vision I had for Connie. A little bit
awesome.
Of, because I've always loved her, and I felt she always plays these tough characters. Like even like in Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah.
Right. Just because it came on the other day and I was watching it, but I was like, yeah, that's what I wanted. A little bit of, but I also needed her to make the sacrifice of a little bit. Not just I'm going to college. I needed her to leave something behind.
Sure.
So that it meant more. So yeah, there's Connie. I really don't know what this girl looks like though that she likes.
Okay.
So once again,
there's another one.
Community.
Well, I do know that people
Connie's
love creating
girlfriend?
fan art.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Anyway, I would definitely
Always
not.
keep-
I definitely wouldn't turn down seeing fan art of
I would not.
anyone we mentioned today. So
Does her girlfriend from high school have a name? No name?
sure doesn't.
Well,
Because at that point they didn't want people to know.
that makes sense.
So I was never going to say it
Yeah,
because it was kind of a secret.
that's cool.
So
Cap off Connie. Is there someone, kind of the same question for,
No.
we have for Sunny. Is there anyone in the group that she's the tightest with or anything? Like,
Anna,
Anna?
but
Oh,
she doesn't.
that's nice.
They're so far away.
Is
She appreciates. I mean, obviously Maria.
Yeah.
But she sees some of herself in Anna and Maria. Because she knows where they come from. She knows how hard they had to work to get here.
right.
She relates to them on a mental level because of that.
Yeah.
Like,
And plus of Anna kind of planning this whole thing to go
Yeah.
find Maria, and they had that road trip there.
Yeah.
Safe to say,
And Connie's like,
that's my
coming.
girl.
Yeah, because Connie does talk to Maria. I mean, to
Yeah,
Anna, they'll
sure.
call each other.
Got
and
it.
Stuff. She'll say, "Hey, Maria, how's your sister?" And so it's a kind of a little sister relationship. But she does see a lot of herself in Maria and Anna. So yeah,
I love it.
they share some of the same traits.
All right.
Yeah,
Well,
and we may actually have more questions for these characters at the end. I
Yes.
can't remember.
Yeah,
so
we may.
If we went over your favorite character and you didn't get what you wanted, your question may be at the end. I don't know.
yeah, we'll
So,
see. All right, moving on to Anna.
Anna, yeah. So
You touched about
Okay.
Go ahead. Just I know how much this character
yeah.
means to you.
So anyway,
go
once
for it.
again, when I was traveling around the towns, and I found consistent themes between Maria and Anna and real life people that
Yep.
were there. I knew I wanted the younger sister to try to save
Twitch heads.
the older sister,
Yeah.
Hate 'em.
and to be courageous and brave. I just love that. And a lot of people don't know that Anna, you're going to be floored. She's a cheerleader. Yeah, Anna's a cheerleader. So
Really?
yep, for the football team. Didn't think Anna was a cheerleader, did you?
No.
I know.
Not at all.
And of all the fan art I've ever seen of her, I've never seen anyone, or even the backstories, think that she was a cheerleader. Her boyfriend was a star player on the football team.
Okay.
He went away to college and left her. He got a scholarship. She can't go. He said, "Come with me." She's like, "Where am I going to live? I can't live in your dorm.
Right
with you.
there in the dorm,
And I don't want to
brother.
hold you back."
Make it happen.
So once again, Anna, who lost her dad,
Yep.
a couple years earlier, her and Maria did. Her sister goes to college. Her family saves up money to send Maria to college, like partial scholarship, but family had to spend money. Anna loses her boyfriend, who abandons her as well and leaves. She too chooses not to go with him, and now she's still just stuck at home. And she has no prospects and doesn't know what she's going to do with her life at all. So she's seen all these people leave her life. So she's had years of working hard, obviously, to try to help Maria, because Maria's working to support her, and she's also trying to work, but she's a couple years younger,
Jesus.
right?
Mr. Lukey Skywalker.
So you got this younger sister who
Goddamn,
is
Laurie
looking
Strode
around
tier.
going, when's it my turn? And it ain't.
I'm trying not to talk over these guys, but
And
thank
it's
you so
never
much.
her turn.
adorable.
And that's like
I love
that's
Anna so much.
We'll talk
that's
later.
part of like
Thank you,
like I said,
man.
there's no happy
Appreciate it.
endings.
Yeah.
Life doesn't have that all the time,
Yeah.
and it certainly doesn't have it for these characters. So, that's just she can't even get to the next stage. At least Maria gets to go to college. Connie got to go to college.
So you're
right?
telling
all
me
these
there's a
characters
chance
who
that Anna
in our
has a
story
Letterman too?
meet at college. Anna is just still at home, trying to figure out what to do next. Do I work and try to save up? Do I go to a different college if I can? Like, what do I do? I've graduated now.
We know she's tough physically, and she's definitely tough mentally.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
this had to affect her a little bit mentally.
yeah.
I like how you're
that
so upset she's a
of all-
cheerleader.
I mean, she can't pursue any passions, goals.
Nah, he's making it
like-
up. He made
Yeah,
the
what are you gonna do?
characters. What do you
Yeah,
mean?
and
It's a small town, so
like, for instance, Maria's passion was photography. Does Anna have a passion like that?
Anna's
That's-
whole existence was cheerleading and being there for her boyfriend and watching him get better and better and better at football. They even won the state title 5 months before our game takes place, because that's when the high school football playoffs are.
Yeah.
Which the Uvalde Coyotes really did win the state title that year,
That's fun.
and that's their high school. So
That's fun.
I was standing on that field one day taking photos, and I looked up and saw the state championship sign, and I was like, "Holy crap!"
That's so much.
1972 state champions.
She's not ugly.
I had no
what
idea.
What the fuck is wrong with
That's
you?
wild.
And I was like, wow. So not only did her boyfriend play on the team, but he
Yeah.
won a state title, which helps get you recruiting. And
Yeah.
so
absolutely.
she gets to watch him grow up and get better and get more attention. But that also, she's happy for him, but at the same time, that means he's
That's
leaving
true.
her.
No stoner character yet.
So it's a weird relationship. She wants him to succeed, but that also means he's getting out of town. He's going to college. And it's going to be far away.
fucking ridiculous,
And
dude.
he's like, yeah, come with me. And that's not how that works.
No.
Where's she going to live? Off campus? How's she going to pay for it? So she goes and gets some crappy job, and while he's traveling around playing football, and she was willing to do that, and he was like, or he wanted to do that, and she was like, no, I can't drag you down, because she's still thinking about herself in that moment, even though her sisters left her
Yeah.
and their dad died. She's still thinking about Anna, So she's still, she was still in that town. And then she gets the courage. You know what? I'm not feeling sorry for myself. I got to go find my sister.
Yep.
So all those things would normally maybe take a person and make them not want to help.
Yeah.
Or I'm just going to stay here, figure it out. They're on their own kind of thing. But no, even despite all that, she's like, no, I'm going to go find my sister. So that's Anna's stuff.
A lot of sacrifices from Anna.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of what you had to do. I mean, she didn't really have a choice,
Yeah, other than let her sister die,
Yeah.
right? Or not go look for her,
Yeah.
right?
Sure,
Or
Johnny is an
drag her
alcoholic. Gotta be.
boyfriend back. No, you're not going to college.
How's he staying in such
right?
good shape?
So,
Yeah.
she stayed back behind with her mother. She makes a sacrifice to go, no, I'm going to stay
Yeah.
with mom too. Because now she feels guilty for leaving her mother. Maria gets to leave.
That is a lot
But
on the shoulders for a girl her age.
yeah, so she's like, do I just
so
leave
much.
do I leave my mom as well? So that's poor Anna.
That's
poor,
ugly,
yeah.
huh?
And now
And-
you like her more.
Yeah.
But yeah, cheerleading, people didn't know that.
Well,
And I almost put it in her
I don't know,
bio, but I
boys.
didn't. I took it out because I didn't want
I don't know.
I didn't want
Yeah.
that to be there.
That looks like
Yeah.
a
I
very
didn't want that to be
naturally
her
pretty
identity.
person
Well,
that doesn't.
I don't sound like a broken
weigh
record,
herself
but
down
I
with
would
makeup. I don't know.
expect some fan art.
I'm not saying
If
the
there's
same
not
thing you are, brother.
cheerleading,
Cheerleader Anna.
if there's not an Anna cheerleader fan art tomorrow,
What do you mean?
I'm be
Before the
upset.
stream's over,
Well,
It's funny.
maybe
Maybe
they're
somebody's
at
so
work
ugly,
watching.
can
I
be
don't
so
know.
judgmental. It's just crazy.
All right.
Okay.
Let's move on to our last victim.
Danny.
Our newest one, yes, Danny.
Yeah.
Love his backstory, and I'm
She's got girl
excited to
next
hear
door vibes,
more
dude.
about Danny.
Tomboy makes you ugly.
I really,
all right, shut up. I'm about to fucking beat you.
What we know about him, I think, struck a chord with a lot of folks in the community.
yeah,
Growing up.
in a foster home.
foster
yeah,
home? Yeah.
people
Look at this,
like, what
look at
happened
this
to his
side
parents
view,
and,
though. Huh?
His mom left. His mom left him, and his dad was a drunk
Getting all
so
worked up over
eventually he got taken
goddamn
away.
character in a video game.
and put into a home.
This is crazy.
And there's no good story for Danny.
No.
Other than, yeah, he still did well. There's programs within foster programs that let you go to school, right? They pay for your college, So that's a thing that happens. So he gets to go to college. But that's at the expense of his shitty life.
Yep.
Right? So it's like, yeah, I get to go to college, but only because of how shitty my life had been and the people had left me.
Sure.
So, yeah, he's got no real parents to speak of. He's not well equipped to handle things in life all the time. But he is handy. Like, he knows how to do things with his
Cooks
hands. He knows
horses
how to
and
fix
an animal,
things.
huh?
He's into cars and things like that. So he's a hardworking kid.
Yeah.
He's just never had the support, the family support, because they've been pieces of crap.
He's a tough SOB.
He's a tough son of a bitch, right?
He is.
So, and he gets to go to college. And then when he meets Maria, that's when, because of her dad passing, they kind of find some comfort in each other. So he meets them because I think immediately he met Leland, like in that group.
Okay.
And, because, hey, tough guy, wrestler, blah, blah. And they, they're just hanging out, being bros. And then that's when Leland meets Maria. Danny's like, who's that? She's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. Come on, dude. Hook me up, right? Like, so that when they met and started talking about their backstory,
I'm on Papa Swiss
immediately, you can just tell. You see it in their eyes. They just knew.
Yeah.
Those are things you can't hide, right? So he knew what she had been through, and she knew what he'd been through. So they immediately clicked. So yeah, her and Danny met.
That model's from
their
cosplay
tragedy,
guide.
I would say.
Yeah.
That
linked them together.
Yes, it gave them a reason to keep chatting.
There you are, Luke Skywalker.
Right. So where are you from?
Appreciate you. Thank you.
Where'd you go to school? And he's like, well, I did, but I didn't. Where you live? And she keeps prodding and prodding.
Yeah, Danny
and prodding.
definitely seems like a stoner.
And finally, he's like, listen, I ain't really got a home.
It's a good
right?
fit.
I came from a boys' home, and
Yeah.
my parents left me. Is that what you want to hear? Like, because she's interested in him, and she wanted to know all about him. What's your parents' name? Blah blah blah. Right?
Yeah.
Because that's what you do when you meet someone. You're
Of
excited
course.
to get to know them.
Of course.
And then she's like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that. And then she's like, well, my dad passed away too, and so there's that link.
Yeah.
So
and her opening up probably allowed Danny to open up and
yeah. So then
I'm about to start messing with you by
people
just giving you time
also
out every
want
time
to
you say
know
something stupid.
how he got to the
How's that
the
sound?
slaughterhouse or to Nancy's place.
yes.
And how he didn't go.
Yeah, and I've also seen why he didn't go on the wildfire.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So why did he go on the
I am
wildfire
the
trip?
captain.
Wildfire.
It's because he didn't think to do so. You don't expect the person that you're seeing to never come back.
Yeah.
To drive around towns and take pictures of wildflowers, you wouldn't think, I better go with you and safeguard you.
Yeah.
Right? So it's one of those things where you say goodbye to people you love every day and you expect them to come home.
Yeah.
It's like, I'll be back in a couple of days. And he's like, want me to go with you? He's like, oh, no.
Yeah.
No, don't worry about it. I need to just take photos. I want to do it. It's like a me trip.
Yep.
I want to just exist. And he's like, okay, that's why. There's really no crazy reason other than the fact that
He was just letting his girlfriend just was
it's not
going on a trip.
it's not a dangerous trip.
Yeah.
It's just driving around
Taking pictures of some
hill
wildflowers.
country,
Yeah.
taking pictures like people do every
Yep.
year during that time.
Yep.
But the reason he's not with the group of kids
On the road trip, yeah.
when they go to find, because he already left.
So he left before
Yeah.
our other victims
Yes,
did.
because he wasn't going to wait.
Wow.
Anna's like, I'm coming.
Good for
I'll be there in a
Danny.
day or so. And he's like, I'm not waiting. I'm going there now.
Although technically he shows
I don't
up
care.
late.
I'll meet you there. Right. I'm not waiting. My girl's missing.
Yeah.
I've waited long enough.
Don't blame him. I would have done the same thing.
So
That's what you're
if you
saying. Him
notice
being
on Nancy's
DLC
map,
doesn't make much sense.
behind her house is a salvage yard.
Oh,
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So Matt can attest to this. One trip in particular in Texas, we noticed a lot of houses that were houses, but behind them were either junkyards or salvage yards.
Yeah.
And that's a typical, like if you look up junkyard or salvage yard, it's usually owned by like a family or something in a small town. It wasn't always a place of business. It was a family who started a business, who lives in the house, and now behind them, hey, yeah, go back there and look if you need a fender or something for your car.
a
So
lot of those
Danny
around
knows
here.
that her car was found. He knows the police found her car, but he doesn't know where it's at. And the police aren't talking to him about the investigation. So in his mind, he thinks if I check salvage yards, maybe her car's there. And maybe I can find something in it if I can sneak in. So there's only a couple salvage yards in town. Obviously, the family's not dumb enough to leave her car there because they don't have it anyway. But in his mind, he's like, okay, where can I find clues? Where do I even start?
Yeah.
If no one's helping me.
Yeah.
He didn't go to the gas station first. Like he just went in town and they're like, yeah, the salvage yard out on 402. He sees her house. He sees the backyard, obviously.
Salvage yard.
So he knocks on the door and is like, have you seen this girl? You know, and then that was going to lead to, yeah, I'm looking for her car also, blah, blah.
Right.
So really that's how Danny makes that connection. It's a prayer. It's a shot in the dark. It's a shot in the dark on, he doesn't even know if that's going to work. So
Yeah.
he leaves before the rest of the kids because he refuses to wait.
Yeah, it is the junkyard, yes.
I think it's time to move on to family.
Let's do it.
All right, let's roll through.
Yeah, but is Maria alive? Maria's license plate was found in the basement.
This question I
that
believe
was at
was
Nancy's
from
house.
someone. Who's the most sympathetic?
The lore confirmed.
The cook.
Yes.
I mean, I think most people would agree that the cook, because he shows it in the original film.
Yep.
He even tries to warn the guys, you know, Jerry and Kirk.
Yeah.
You don't want to take those girls around that house, right? He tries to talk them out of it because he just doesn't want the trouble, right? And he feels sorry for the girls in a way. And I don't think he feels sorry for the guys.
Have you
I think
seen
he's
his
like,
kill
"Don't take those girls up
animations?
around that house?"
Does he?
They don't want to be there.
So he's the most sympathetic, but why
Because
does
he's the
why does he show the most animosity
There you
towards
go.
the rest of the
Thank
family?
So yeah, that's another question. Why is the cook? Because he's dealing with a bunch of idiots.
Bunch of bullshit.
Yeah, what about
If you're
his kills?
70 years old or whatever the age is, and you've been dealing with these idiots for the last however old they are, so imagine like a dad
Johnny upside is gone, don't
who's just had enough, or a grandpa who's had enough, or anybody who's just had enough of all the idiots that are around him. So if it's not the hitchhiker causing problems, running around doing God knows what,
Yeah.
hitchhiking around, digging up people. Every time he comes home
Cook
from
can say he doesn't enjoy being
the
violent,
gas
but he's a
station,
damn liar.
he's got to figure out what the hell happened.
Yep.
He's got Leatherface at home. He's got Grandpa at home. Like, it's a circus. And now he's got Sissy and Johnny. Johnny's out doing God knows what. He can't rely on Nancy to,
No.
like, control him.
No.
So that's why he has such animosity, because he's tired of dealing with them. So every one of his voice lines mostly are in that funny, and it's in the movie, too. Like,
Yeah.
all those
Exactly.
VO lines
Exactly,
of the cook
Dan.
yelling at
He beats the shit out of her in
Hitchhiker
the
and
truck.
Leatherface.
Yep.
That theme we carried over because we didn't want to change his character, and I was never going to step on Kim's characters like that. And all of a sudden, the cook likes the hitchhiker,
Sure.
so I kept that consistent with the film.
Cook doesn't even like Nancy.
and
they
it
were
makes him funny.
Married, maybe.
Yeah.
But in the reality is, he would be
better be
upset because
confirmed
they're
today.
idiots.
Well, and truth be told, you just said it. He is. I mean, I don't know what that says about me, but the cook was my favorite character. From
Yeah,
the
'cause he's
original
funny.
film. He's funny as hell.
Yeah, his one-liners are funny, and even in the second movie, he's got tons of
Oh God.
dealing with Chop Top and the hit.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's like, he can never catch a break. And really, that's why the cook is so fed up.
Yep.
He's just trying to run the gas station. Yeah, they're eating people.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's a business, and he's trying to run a business,
And business is good.
and he's got idiots. He's surrounded by idiots. So, in a nice way, right?
of course.
Every day is something new. So he's had enough.
Yeah.
So that's why he's so mad.
Well,
I wouldn't want it any other way.
we're gonna break down. Let's break down the three original family members that we have that
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
created here. We got about probably 20 minutes or so
20
left.
minutes?
We're gonna.
You-
I don't want to
We're
rush
only
through this.
like
but at the
halfway
same time,
through,
we are
brother.
kind of bit on a clock here. Let's start off with Sissy. I know she's one you had a
Yeah.
blast with her conception, and there's a
give me
lot
the side eye,
of
whoop.
mystery and unknown
is
things
mine.
about
Yeah.
her. And that's kind of how it's supposed to be, is the way I've always understood it. But man, just speak at length on Sissy and give us any anything cool you could.
So Sissy came from Kim's character Bible. He had a name and he had a paragraph. So if you don't know about Kim's character Bible, it's a book. We call it the character Bible.
Yeah.
Of all the characters he's created for the franchise, especially the first film, and all the characters that you never saw in the first film.
So this character Bible goes back legit 50 years.
Oh yeah, and there's a lot of characters he wrote for the first film that aren't in the film,
Right.
and no one knows about them.
Yep.
Unless you've seen this character book. Mm-hmm. In there was the
Pretty
name
cool.
Sissy Sunshine Slaughter, and a paragraph about a family member who rebelled against the family, got caught up in the LSD craze 60s, rebelled against the family, and hitchhiked and went around like all the other kids in the Woodstock movement, in that whole freedom,
Yeah.
I'm sure there
go
are, but I'm
find
going to show them to you.
yourself movement that the teenagers or 20-year-olds at that time went through.
Sure.
So she got caught up in that, and honestly, she's tired of being, what are you doing today, blah, blah, the cook yelling at her. So she's a free spirit anyway. So she's looking for a way out. So that was all we had for Sissy, was that one paragraph. And it was at that point where we obviously, I got to come up with the design, what she looks like, what she's wearing, her personality.
Sure.
So, yeah, I took Kim's name and a paragraph and created Sissy from that. And I love the idea that she was a drifter and that she was doing stuff the hitchhiker was doing, but far away and not as crazy, at least on the surface.
that's
so we needed a really, really beautiful face, which is where Kelly Mittendorf came in.
Oh,
I wanted her to be beautiful so that she could hitchhike and people would pick her up. So she uses truck drivers to get around. She knows how to use people when she needs to.
Yeah.
And she's walking along, hitchhiking. A trucker's going to pick her up, right? So slowly over time, that doesn't always work out for him because she appears normal, and then 3 minutes after talking to her, you make the wrong move. You try to put your hand on her leg. All of a sudden you find yourself with your throat slit. Right, so there were bodies that were being found along the way of I-40.
Carnage.
Yeah, there's a radio broadcast about the terror of I-40, and they're talking about Sissy. And it's the I-40 corridor between Texas and California where she had traveled. And there's even people that survived.
What's the broadcast about
there's
Johnny?
There's a radio broadcast about a survivor.
I forgot what that one.
Who had an encounter with her.
Where it took place.
And they have
where he
descriptions
ran
of
into
her.
trouble.
And like people at truck stops would be, watch out for this girl. She became a thing, but they really couldn't catch her. So
a lot harder back then to do
yes,
so.
like a lot of people.
Yeah.
Spawn Ranch was a well-known thing.
Yeah,
it wasn't a
it was.
secret. There were a lot of people that came and went from that place. There were kids there.
Yeah,
like it's not just the people that committed the murders.
It was a large community.
Yes, there was a large community, and Sissy was just one of those a few people that were there, or one of the many. I guess.
There you go.
And
Pflugerville incident.
She left before the murders happened. So she was there in the community while they were creating songs and doing all that. And, there when he had his visions of grandeur about all these things. But like Sissy, she can't conform. So even in that scenario, Sissy cannot be controlled. So there was a lot of friction and
Appreciate you,
fighting.
Connor.
And
thanks, man.
She had to leave. So that's why she didn't hang out there for all those years. And thank God she left before the murders, or she wouldn't be back home. She may have been caught.
Sure.
So, and then she bounced around a couple more places after that. But that was the backstory we have for Sissy. And that's where her singing the Manson songs came from. We knew she was there during the time period when they were coming up with the songs and singing around the fire, doing crazy kumbaya. Right?
Yeah.
So we knew that she knew the songs. So that was kind of how that personality kicked in and where we got that from. But yeah, then she eventually had to come back home.
Yeah.
Because she ran out of places to go. And now she's back home with the family. So.
And she's back home, and last thing on her, I'm assuming this probably happened when she got back home. But do you want to give us a little bit of the backstory of how she even obtained this bride Sissy dress?
Yeah. So just like her normal dress that she's wearing right now, she took that from a person that she killed. So Sissy was not getting married.
Sissy based.
There's a poor dead woman somewhere who was getting married and ran into Sissy in their house. Sissy kills her and just goes through her stuff and says, "Look at this pretty dress," and then puts it on and imagines that's her getting married. So bride Sissy is not.
It's not like it's her wedding day or.
No, it's a dress she took from a person she murdered.
Got it.
So there's one less bride and wife in the world because of Sissy. So that's where that idea came from with her dress. And Rob, we have some old photos of Sissy. So along the way, like I said, I create lots of stuff.
Yeah.
That I don't use. Or Sissy evolved over time from looking certain ways into the way that she looks now.
Sure.
And that occurred over the course of a couple of years. You want to pull up like Sissy, Rob?
Here we go.
Oh, wow.
Well, this is a new one. But yeah, so you can clearly see the wedding dress there. So these were some dress variations, and you're probably looking at her leg going, what the hell?
Is exactly that like a mechanical leg?
Yes. That's a prosthetic leg.
That's awesome.
Cool.
And at one point in her early conception, this has Kelly's face on it, which came later because we wanted to see what it looked like. But we felt that was too close to Vilmer.
Yeah.
So if you're wondering
Yeah.
why Sissy has a mechanical leg or a
They
prosthetic
mentioned
leg,
Vilmer.
it's because at one point we thought that might be cool, but then that would take away from her. Maybe, I mean, it's tough traveling, and,
Yeah.
you know, and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So we didn't want her to that be her identity.
Sure.
I think
Vilmer confirmed.
it's more descriptive.
Yeah.
Right. So we kind of, and honestly, Kim was like, that's too much, too close to Vilmer. So we took that off, but it shows you some variations, and I wanted to show you because there's the bride Sissy dress. At one point, we were going to I had an idea to maybe make that dress her default outfit. I scrapped the idea because I really love the flower cross on
Yeah.
the left because it looks like an upside down cross, kind of.
It does.
The way the flowers move, and I love the way that dress looked on her, as
yes.
opposed to something like a wedding dress. But I put that dress up because I wanted you to see the contrast, and this image goes back years. But ultimately, I scrapped it, and I just didn't do it. But when we were talking about new costumes for her and new designs, we went back to this list and said, okay, now we can do the wedding dress. Now's the time. So then it's like, oh, where'd she get it? So then we tell people where she got it and the
Well,
backstory,
at least that
and so
dress
let's
was
do it then.
always
So
the plan.
really, the wedding dress is something I had in mind for her a long time ago. I just scrapped it because I wanted that black dress on her because I just loved the way it looks. And at one point, yes, she had a prosthetic leg. And you'll notice she has shoes on
Yeah.
Oh,
and
yeah.
boots.
Yeah.
So we were exploring a lot of different ideas for her but ultimately, Rob, next one, pecan. Yeah, ultimately, see, there you go. I narrowed it down to
Sissy.
combat boots, kind of like this little sneaker and one boot,
I kind of like the
and then
combat boots.
barefoot.
Yeah.
So
To be honest.
ultimately, I thought the boots were trying too hard, and then I thought the one shoe and the one boot was just too obvious. Like she couldn't even in her mind know that she put two different shoes on.
Right.
So I went against that because I don't know. Visually, it was. You see that girl hitchhiking, you're like, I'm not picking her up.
Right. No,
Why she got a boot on and a shoe?
Yeah.
It's just another tell that something's not right.
Sure.
So barefoot. Oh, she just lost her shoes.
Yeah.
Poor girl.
Dirty ass
Look
feet.
at that poor
Needs
girl.
help.
Get that out of
She
my
needs
truck.
And that's where I settled on barefoot. It wasn't because I like bare feet. It wasn't because I like dirty bare feet.
Sure.
Don't
It
fucking
was because
lie, Ronnie.
I don't have a Tarantino foot fetish.
Right.
It wasn't that. It was just because I felt like, oh, that poor girl. She needs my help. Oh, she's walking barefoot? Pick her up. So there's some evolution of Sissy. Rob, there's another one. And this was we were trying to figure out how short we wanted the dress and how low the cleavage was going to be. It
Yeah,
gets,
it's quite the cleavage.
the dress shrinks as it gets to the right.
Do you see that last one, man?
But
Jesus.
as you can see, it's very subtle. So we had different necklines that I was experimenting with, different lengths, different amount of tears. But I decided on the original one was always the best for me. It was just, it was classic. It fit in nicely. It wasn't trying too hard.
Yeah.
We didn't need to oversell like her. She's already just beautiful. We didn't need to go, hey, now the cleavage is low and now you can see half her butt hanging out because there's a rip. We didn't need to go down that route because she already was perfect. But at one point we did think about that.
Yeah, you're right. She does have this, and Kelly gets a lot of credit
Yes.
for that. Just a unique beauty, you know.
Yes, and sometimes you can go overboard with that and try too hard.
Yeah.
So this was me going, wait a minute, what's it actually look like? Let's make it so I can see it visually to know that I don't want it. Yeah, so there's another one too, I think. There's some really old designs of Sissy. This is going to blow your mind.
Oh,
Yep.
blow my mind. Oh,
So-
shit.
Holy.
Long time ago.
I have never seen this before. Wow.
Here is a blonde, non-Kelly Mittendorf version
Yeah, she's hot.
with these baby doll kind of dresses on that. But once again, they have shoes and socks on, and that dress, those type of dress were very, very popular.
They were.
And I didn't want to just do something that you had seen before. So while this looks awesome, I ultimately still decided that black
Can that
dress
just be
was so unique.
Another
I hadn't
character.
really seen it before.
Sure.
Whereas these I'd seen everywhere in that time period. A lot of models wore these. You know, the pigtails were very, very obvious. Right.
Yeah.
And I didn't want her to be too much Harley Quinn.
Good point.
So I steered away
Yeah,
from
all right.
this, even though I love this character.
Yeah.
I still wanted to stick to the black dress. So, next one. Once again, dark hair now.
Oh,
look at the shining
So it changes her completely, and she's got these ripped stockings on. Once again, she has shoes on.
Shining-ish pattern.
And these dresses are not unique. I mean, they're cool for the time period.
No,
and they're cool now. They're cool now that you see them because they're different.
Sure.
But when I compared them to her black dress with the flowers, and I wanted to tie in the flowers.
Yeah.
There's a constant theme of wildflowers in our game.
There is.
Sissy uses the flowers. The flowers are what links Maria
Yeah.
to Johnny. The flowers are on the map. It takes place during wildflower season. So that's really part of the reason why I stuck with the dress. With
The flowers are almost a character within the game.
They are, and it
You
fits Sissy. So even though I like this stuff, and I always did, I felt the other one was better, and I wanted really just that to happen. So, yeah. Is that all of Sissy?
Yeah, I think that's...
Or no, it's one more.
We got one more?
Yeah, and at one point I had short hair.
Oh, wow.
And there's the, the prosthetic leg,
Yep.
which was still an awesome idea. I love it. But Vilmer. We didn't want to step on Vilmer's toes.
Yeah.
So we had to cut that. And there's one boot, one shoe.
It was probably for the best.
But yeah,
no
like the short hair
problem,
version was always kind of cool.
I like the short
I
hair.
picture her
blade,
cutting her
though,
hair with that razor
Dude, I
to get away from the authorities.
totally see it.
So along the way, that was me envisioning that her changing her look on the fly.
While she was...
Like everybody who's looked in the mirror ever and shaved their head thinking
Sure.
that that's going to stop the authorities from finding them in a movie.
Yep.
When they just cut their hair in the mirror. That scene.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So there's I wanted to share a little bit of pre Kellen Mittendorf, pre Sissy as you know her, the evolution of her
Johnny.
from the first time we thought about her until now, and all the
then
thought
Barbara
process
Crampton?
that goes into the character. So all the other characters pretty much have these as well, but we're not going to share them all today.
Mr. Skywalker,
I just
see
wanted
you
to look
later,
at Sissy
partner.
because
Yeah.
she was a tough look
Thanks
to nail
again, man.
down. But once I found Kelly's face, and Wes did his magic to do all the legal work to get her face in a game with her.
Yep.
And she was on board. That really, her face in that dress and the no shoes just works for me.
Yep.
It was perfect for me. So, yeah.
We're going to be working overtime today.
That's fine.
We
All right, here we go.
very rarely get you in here, so
right.
Just keep
we'll
running
roll
it.
through the rest of this. But we're on. Let's move on. I think
Johnny? Yeah.
Yeah. Let's move on to Johnny.
We've been waiting months for this,
It's
damn
no
it. You're going to
secret
finish.
that the community has really glommed onto this character.
You think?
Yeah.
He's hot.
He is a TikTok sensation.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there is a portion of TikTokers out there and people who are obsessed with Johnny and haven't even played our game yet.
They like the way he looks, and they want to make, thirsty reels out of him, which is fine.
Yeah, there's a lot
So,
of them.
which was funny because we have this obsession with serial killers, right? We have an obsession with good-looking serial killers. And
Sure.
and that's a thing that I'm not going to get into because that's a whole psychological thing.
Yeah.
Right? It would take me all day. But
Yeah,
that's a
it
thing.
literally would.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a thing that exists on both sides.
Yeah.
So it's for female serial killers and for male. We're attracted to things like that. So along the way, when I was thinking of characters for Johnny, I was like, who's he resemble and what's he look like? And I knew I wanted him to be Ted Bundy, to be able to go out into the world and exist without you knowing he's trying to kill you. So I needed him to be able to have that facade. So, and then there's part Night Stalker, who wasn't as attractive as Ted Bundy.
Yeah.
Like teeth were
Richard Ramirez, right?
his teeth were like half. Yeah, when he smiled, you knew you were in trouble.
Yeah.
He wasn't well maintained.
Yeah.
Right, but I tried to create a mixture of the two. Someone that was lethal, but it could go out and exist in small towns and spring up here and there and not set off a red flag.
Right.
You wouldn't know he was following you until it was too late.
Yeah.
And if he was following you, you wouldn't be maybe that scared because you're like, oh, it's that guy again. So Johnny came from a lot of research
Daisy
on
Dukes
serial
are
killers.
bound to happen. Tony, that
One
right
little
now.
story I've told like two people ever. At one point, Johnny
Well, you're talking
didn't
a lot
talk
more
a
than
lot.
that now.
He wasn't laughing. He wasn't outgoing.
Okay.
He wasn't completely the narcissistic guy that you see today that's talking to you while you're dying and laughing at you and
You guys want organic baby food?
walking around looking for, and you're like, I know you're here. He's a very confident guy.
Yeah.
Talks a lot. And that wasn't always Johnny's personality. A long time ago, I had Johnny very cold and calculated, and he wasn't saying a lot. And I wanted him to be more evil and less relatable. Right now he's kind of like a mixture of Billy Loomis from Scream, where he's just shit talking to Nev Campbell, right? You're
Yeah.
playing with her, and that's what he
Absolutely.
does a lot. And a lot of that came from
Damn, they
Billy
just-
Loomis.
they
But that's a very
actually-
outgoing character.
They actually
he wasn't always
said
like that. And
Billy
here's the story.
Loomis. I didn't think they
So the
would
Texas
do that.
Killing Fields, there's an area, in League City. If you've seen the documentary, The Texas Killing Fields.
Oh, on Netflix, yeah.
Before that came out, on one of my Texas trips, and I don't know why, I researched way too much and went
changes
to real
everything.
locations where
I'm gonna
things
start
have
being a
happened, like
Johnny
cult-wise, serial killer locations, places like that. Just to try to figure out, just do research. And it was too much, right? But I did it anyway. And I was like, you know what? There was a phone booth that they mentioned in that documentary that I wanted to find because I was near that area. I go, I'll find this. So I think I know where, it's on Main Street, and I think I know where it is. And I get there, and I'm sitting in the parking lot, and I have this little book that I don't have on me where I write all my ideas down in. I was trying to figure out what Johnny was. And the phone booth was different. It wasn't actually there. It was moved a little bit, and it's a new gas station. And I look over, and it's at the corner of Main Street and Hobbs, which is my last name. Literally, I did not know this.
What?
I looked
Johnny
over and I
Hobbs.
see Hobbs, and I'm just like,
That is
this
freaky.
this is messed up. And this
That
is too weird.
wild, dude.
And it was at that point where I was like, this is enough. I'm done. I don't know what it was about seeing that side street named Hobbs, Main and Hobbs. I'm like, what are the chances that my last name is 10 feet from me? And I'm sitting there trying to look at this damn payphone. For what? This is stupid. This is too much. Right? So it is that point where I go, you know what? I don't want to make him that cold and calculated. It was too eerie.
Yeah.
And then when I looked at the area where, like the field, the main field where
Sure.
they found a lot of those victims, I was like, I don't want to play into that anymore. I want to turn Johnny into this boisterous, outgoing character who can hide some of the fact that he's a disgusting dude behind some of the lines and
So that's what-
laughing and smiling. Because at one point he wasn't.
Right.
And it became too cold and too calculated.
Yep.
And when I saw that sign,
That's when
I was
pushed
like-
you in another direction.
yes, I was like, that's overboard. So it's a funny story that I never really told anyone. A lot of people who don't even know the story. But yeah, just weird seeing that. And that at that point, Johnny took a turn
Yeah.
to be more outgoing. He's still
Yeah.
saying some nasty stuff,
Yeah.
but I don't know, there's something about him that works because people enjoy the way he talks and messes with you and plays with his food and the hunch.
Yep.
It's almost so overboard
Yeah.
that it takes away from the coldness in a way.
Yeah.
So that's how he happened. That's how that happened because I looked over and saw a damn sign with my name on it while I was looking at a payphone where the serial killer would watch people at a payphone, and that's how he would track them.
That is absolutely.
It was just so weird. I was like, okay, dial it back. So we have some old photos of Johnny that
Yeah.
people are going to
Yeah.
laugh at.
It's funny that
Rob, you wanna
Johnny
pull
kind
them
of.
All right, get
So
ready.
up
Johnny
based on
went through
Billy
several
Loomis a little
variations
bit.
too. Here you go.
Oh,
And
Shit.
look,
Oh
so this is
my.
kind of like one of my favorite movies is The Outsiders.
Oh yeah.
It's one of my favorite movies. And Matt Dillon.
That's wow. Yeah.
This is,
I see it.
I always loved that character. But what's funny is if you look close, he's got Maria
That
tattooed on his
is-
forearm.
Billy Loomis.
And for the
Nice touch, Ronnie.
for the longest time, I had a side story in my head where he really, really, really liked Maria. Right?
Like genuinely like.
yeah, so I wanted to see what it would look like if he did a homemade tattoo. Now that wasn't the tattoo I was going to use.
Right.
But if you're wondering why there's a Maria tattoo, it's because I wanted to see it, and I wanted to maybe explore that, but it was unreasonable. Like it wasn't going to ever.
it sounds
really
like he
occur. It
wouldn't
wasn't
have
gonna
killed her.
happen. It was kind of just a pipe dream, and
You know what I mean?
I wanted to experiment with that. Like, what if he did want to leave the family?
Yep.
What if this was her that he found that got him out of that life? But that's not how serial killers work.
Yeah, Johnny was.
They don't all of a
shirtless at the
sudden
beginning.
just go, "Oh, I like that girl. I'm going to
That
quit
was
being a
always
serial
his
killer." It may last a year.
plan.
It may last 2 years,
Yeah.
and then they go back to killing.
Hell.
So it was a pipe dream. It's a fairy tale.
Serial
but
killers have
I'm
had
sure
lives
some,
for decades and were serial killing during their marriage.
exactly. So I always thought this, and plus this is really too good looking. Like this guy's really, really kind of suave, and
He's definitely leaner and more.
Yeah.
You know, like especially in the abdomen.
so he just
area.
didn't work for me.
Yeah.
like,
Especially
but I
the
love it, but
abdomen
it didn't work.
Yeah,
for me
that upper
personally.
I agree.
torso
So
area.
there's another one, I think. So here's some old sketches of
Oh,
faces,
shit.
and you can see the one we're going to use at the top left. We did use, but This is where I was like, okay, I need him to be more friendlier looking, but I didn't really know. I started down a path of like, to me, the guy on the right looks like someone you would see at a gas station, like in a small town, right? So it was that innocent looking face that you wouldn't know,
It does look
that
like
you
Ed
wouldn't
Norton.
particularly know he was going to kill you. He could fit in anywhere,
I like the bottom right.
right? Whereas I needed him to be darker, though. I needed him to be more brooding,
Yeah.
which is where Johnny on the top left comes in. So we went through a lot of variations of face, a lot more than this. But this was almost his face. That bottom left one was almost his face in a way. But it just wasn't cold enough. You know, I needed him to be a little bigger, a little stronger, a little more menacing looking, a little more cold. Like, look at his eyes up there and look at the guy.
He looks like a
bottom.
looking,
The guy on the bottom looks like he
overpressed
may be up to
mama's
something, but
boy.
Johnny up
He's
top,
more inviting.
yes, he's more friendly.
Yes.
So I needed more cold brooding. So eventually we did land on that top left photo. That hair's not the same. I forget where that hair. We went through like 400 versions of hair. But yeah, it's funny that Johnny almost looked like one of those other people there. Because we found a lot of like old photos of like small town Texas gas stations, and there was always just like a regular looking dude in there helping, right? Some 20-year-old dude in there helping, who didn't look evil. He didn't look nice. He just in between,
Number
just hanging out
12,
in
like
between.
the third one on the top
And
row. That kind
so
of
yeah,
looks
ultimately
like
though,
a
Johnny,
Cook's son. Like if you told me
to
that
me,
was
his,
Cook's son, I
his
believe
face
you.
is where I wanted it to be. And it took us a long time to get there because I didn't really know what I wanted.
Sure.
But yeah, we messed with a lot of different variations. So, yep. What else? Is there another? One more? I forgot. I don't even know what this is. What is this? Oh, here you go. So a little story. Johnny was going to be shirtless the whole time. So I was going to launch the game with shirtless Johnny. He never had a shirt on. But however, I could never personally get the muscles where I wanted them. I just couldn't figure out what I liked. So it wasn't even an art thing. It was me personally. I could never get him to look the way I wanted because I didn't know what I wanted his muscles to look like. So
That's a little frustrating in the creative process.
It's frustrating because I'm like, he's not perfect. He's not perfect. I can't get him perfect.
Yeah. Then you start probably getting your head a little bit. And
yes, I go,
yourself.
let's play it safe and put a shirt on him. And at this point, I didn't know what shirt I wanted. I didn't know if I wanted the standard white tee that you see at every gas station or a shirt that's cut off.
Right.
So ultimately, I went with the shirt that's cut off. But there's his old body. It's kind of beefy. A little bit. It's not the same body we have now, but I figured people might enjoy.
Definitely still in shape, but just a more step in the dad bod direction.
Yes,
You know?
and less ripped, but still there's still some muscle mass.
Yeah, I mean that.
But it's funny to see this photo now because
I would kill for that body. You kidding me?
That white T-shirt was always something that it was very obvious. It was very James Dean.
Yeah,
it was very 1950s.
Gotcha.
It was very obvious. I feel like Johnny would have found a T-shirt and just ripped the sleeves off. So that's why we settled on that look. And then eventually I go, you know what? I think someone mentioned shirtless Johnny somewhere, and I go, you know what? Let's do it. So after the game came out and we found our footing again and started releasing DLC,
And then it was
okay, we're gonna go
modded
do
in 10
shirtless
minutes.
Johnny. So, but yeah, at one point he was going to be shirtless. It's just, I had to change course and put a shirt on him just because of my own personal skill level could not get him where I wanted him to be. So, yeah, is that it for Johnny? Yep. Okay, cool.
All right, just got a few questions about Johnny before we move on to Nancy.
Oh, yeah. Shit, we still got Nancy.
We know he
we
was
need a
taken by
Buck 120
right.
weapon at
So,
some point for sure. They
about
got the
what
liberal
age-
loan killing there.
So let's go back to
He's a toddler.
He's just Billy
Yeah,
Loomis.
so he's a toddler.
He's a toddler.
And what happened when he was?
He doesn't remember it, obviously.
Obviously.
So Judith, his mom,
Okay.
they were traveling through.
Judith.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was when the business was happening.
Oh,
Salvage business with Nancy and her husband, one of her husbands.
one of her, not the
So
What happened
she's
to
like,
him?
she's like, this is a place of business. I'm lost.
Right.
I'll knock on. This looks safe because there's flowers and it's well kept, and it looks like a business because it was a salvage yard.
Yeah.
Before husbands died and Nancy closed it down.
Sure.
And it is what you see today. So rewind 20-something years when
They
John
did,
was a
Felicia,
toddler,
yeah.
it was a different place.
A while ago.
So she feels safe enough to stop and ask for directions.
We've been
'cause
going through this for a while.
You either have a map or you don't.
Yeah.
Her and her Johnny and her mother were actually leaving. She was leaving his dad.
Oh.
So he was abusive.
Okay.
So
that
she
explains
was
a lot.
leaving him and took Johnny with her to find a better life. I know. Unfortunately, she stops at Nancy's house.
Is there a happy ending?
No,
for
no one
anyone
has
here?
a happy ending, my man. This is not Disney Channel.
This is the Texas Chainsaw
Yeah.
Massacre.
So she says, okay, I'm traveling through here. I'm looking for this other town. I think I'm going the right way. Let's stop and ask. Right. So they stop. And one thing about Nancy is you ask, if you want to talk, after fast forward real quick and go back.
Yeah,
Nancy's
no worries.
husbands could never give her what she wanted, which is a baby.
Oh,
They all failed.
they all.
One by one, and she killed them for it.
Damn. I mean, maybe she's just not.
That's
fertile.
pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, she
Maybe
wanted a
just can't
kid.
have kids.
And
Wow.
turns out,
That's
she,
some deep shit.
turns out she's the problem, not them. But she doesn't know that because
Sure.
you don't get tested. Wow. You know, it's 19, whatever it is. So she's blaming them.
Yeah.
And one by one, none of these husbands can give her a baby. She wants her own little kid. And it's hard to go out and kidnap a kid, I guess. So she doesn't go out and just take a kid, right? You get caught. So she blames husbands, knocks off the husbands one at a time. Finally, here at her front door is a baby,
A beautiful.
a beautiful dark-haired little baby. Unfortunately, it's got a mother with it. So she's like, yeah, come on in. And Nancy ends up killing her mom, Johnny's mom.
Yep.
She
However,
raised him
not
right.
but not before Johnny's mom hits her in the eye with something and blinds Nancy in that eye.
So that's how she got.
So that eye is a souvenir from Johnny's mom
Wow.
before she went out.
There's been some good fan art of that
Yeah.
eye.
So
yeah.
you know, it's not fully blinded, but you can see.
Yeah.
Like you know, so yeah, Johnny's mother gave that to her as she went out.
And
So then
superpowers on top of it.
Nancy has a baby. So there's another question I think, maybe you're going to ask it.
Yeah.
How does he ever find out?
Yeah.
Does he know?
Is he aware of what happened to his mother?
Oh yeah, they didn't talk
Who his
about the
mother even
Pflugerville
is.
incident.
Yeah. For the longest time, he didn't know because he was a kid.
Yeah.
He has you know Dexter, right? Obviously.
of course.
Born in Blood.
Yep.
That whole flashback where he doesn't know what happened, but he feels like something happened. He
Right.
has those memories.
Yeah.
And then, of course, he hangs out with the hitchhiker. Okay, all the time. So you think the
It
hitchhiker?
always comes back to the hitchhiker.
You think the cook and the hitchhiker is going to keep that secret?
No.
Especially the hitchhiker.
Can't keep it. Damn.
So the hitchhiker teases him. That's not even your real mama. Mama. You know, you're not part of the family. Your mom's dead. You know. So the hitchhiker.
So hitchhiker.
He lets it out of the bag. So when Johnny gets old enough, he's doing right. He's 10 and 11 and 12 and 13 and 14 and 15, and he's growing up and being a big, strong guy.
Yeah.
That she slowly taught how to kill and to manipulate and turn him into the monster he is.
Yeah.
He confronts her, gets mad, and was going to try to kill her.
Oh,
He's had enough.
explains the voice lines.
Like any teenager, he lashes out, and then she cuts him across his face.
Is that how he got?
That's how he got his face scar. He stepped up to Nancy, and she put him in his place when he was a young teenager. So, you know, he
Yeah, strict mother, guys.
he did. So, but yeah, he
She raised
found
him right.
the hitchhiker sees him about his mom, that he told her the truth.
That little shit.
Yep.
He's
And
such
then
an asshole.
he confronts her, and then there's a confrontation. Johnny's kind of throwing her around a little bit, and Nancy, because she's cold, and she puts him in his place and beats him and cuts him across his face and says, "If you don't want any more of that, I'd quit." You know, and Jancy, I mean,
that's all the
Johnny's not
scars.
fully
Wow.
huge yet. He's still a kid,
the
Yeah.
lore.
right? At that point, and it's the only mother he has. So
That's all he knows.
So
Hey, you
Johnny
leave Andy alone right now. I swear
is
to God.
torn, and if that's a question that's coming up, it's how does he feel about Nancy and their relationship?
Yes.
He knows.
What's
but
that
at this
dynamic
point?
for him?
It's Stockholm syndrome. At this point, he's in the family. He's eating people.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do?
He is partaking in the cannibalism.
Yeah, and that was a question someone had.
Yeah,
beyond-
that was from your IG. They want to know if he was if he eats.
Yeah, and yes, he does, but it's not a thing he seeks out to do. It's because it's just ingrained in the family.
Yeah,
He enjoys the hunt. He enjoys going out to get away from Nancy. There's also that dynamic. The more time I spend away from this lady, even though she's my mom, even though she did what she did, I'm kind of stuck here.
Yeah.
Or he can do the sissy route and leave. But in a weird way, he doesn't. You know, he still comes and goes.
That's all he knows.
Yeah, it's all he knows. It's like figuring out, your parents are a serial killer. I don't know. It's a weird thing.
Yeah, I can imagine. I can only-
So yeah, that's where Johnny's face scar came from. Oh, and someone had a question about the other scars on his body. Those are all from fights.
And Pflugerville?
Either the victims fighting back,
Mm-hmm.
TMI. If you study choking victims,
Yeah.
usually when someone chokes someone, they extend their arms so they can't claw your face.
Yeah.
So any of the scars you see on his upper body or chest,
From strangulation.
yes,
Yeah.
you never just do this. You
Yeah.
keep them.
It's true.
You tilt your head back. So that was also a moment where I was like, I'm not looking at this anymore. Just to get a scar right.
Right.
But some of the bigger scars are from fights. He fights dudes. He doesn't care.
Yeah.
Johnny's out getting in fist fights, getting stabbed in the back by people, getting, roughing up in a bar, getting bottles broken over his head and back. So yeah, a lot of those are self-defense from his victims, but a lot of them are just him fighting. Getting in situations he has to fight himself out of. So.
Talk about
But
Pflugerville.
yeah, the one on his face is from Nancy.
Damn it.
That's
Yeah,
Wow.
she's evil. That's what I said. Even her bio says even monsters have makers. Right?
so on brand.
So, and as whatever you feel about Johnny,
Yep.
she did it. Nancy's the real problem. Like, she made Johnny.
Yeah, Nancy's
She did.
evil, man.
So he's just some innocent kid who got, which I like the sympathy.
Yeah.
There's always, what happened? Oh, that poor serial killer. I'm going to write him a letter in prison because what he went through as a kid
Yeah.
determined what he is now. Poor baby.
How they're so intertwined. We've actually covered
Yeah.
a decent amount of Nancy while talking about Johnny.
what about the
Yeah.
The whole dynamic of them is. I know the community. I know I see it all the time. There's always
Lord
questions
doesn't fix
about
the game.
their
It's
connection.
It's
and-
just
Yeah, the family connection.
yeah,
you're
and all
overthinking
that.
it.
Like
Well, here's the deal
overthinking
about
it, folks.
Nancy to, I'll just come out and say
it's
it.
just a fun one.
There was a trailer and there was a shot.
Oh, God.
The community caught it, and I laughed in the community because y'all can be funny sometimes. I got to be honest. But at the end of the trailer, there's a shot of the cook and Nancy sitting next to each other, standing next to each other.
It's a big
I
deal.
mean-
Are they by any chance? What is the connection there? Are they an item?
No.
what?
The hitchhiker and Nancy are not banging.
Hitchhiker.
Okay. Okay, look, how many family photos do you have of people in your family standing next to each other? A million? Right, look on that wall.
Yes.
Like,
I can
just
just
because
tell you.
he's got his hand on her shoulder because they're part of the family.
You suck.
My job,
I don't want to play
my
this
job
game
every day in
anymore.
communities, is to interact on the social and
Yeah.
talk to
I don't-
folks. And the reaction I saw, one of the first comments I saw was literally, "Wait, is Cook and Nancy?" And I'm like, "No."
No.
Dude.
Okay, and they do eat people.
Stop making fun of me.
Okay, so it's not a stretch to be like, oh, God, how dare they have relations.
Yep.
But no, they're not.
So what is the association?
Here's the thing about Kim Hinkle. So the reason, look back at the original film. People go, I'll get to Nancy in a second. People
Yep.
say, who is the cook? What's his relationship? What about Leatherface
Yeah.
and the hitchhiker? Kim didn't want you to know. Now, all we do know is that Hitchhiker and Leatherface are brothers.
Brothers.
Because we hear the cook say, look what your brother did to
Yes.
the door. Not look what my brother did.
Your brother.
Not look what our brother did.
Sure.
And they
Look
don't
what
even
your
say,
brother did to the door.
where's your grandpa? Or take him to our grandpa. All we know is he's grandpa.
Yep.
We don't know if he's their grandpa
We don't.
or some dude's grandpa. It's not the point. He's just grandpa. We just know Hitchhiker and Leatherface are brothers. So we don't know what the cook is.
Yeah.
People assume that he's like the third brother or the dad,
Yeah.
but it's never said.
He's not.
The cook doesn't say, "Hey, son."
And honestly, it works in the film.
Yes.
And I think it works in
And
the
he doesn't
game,
want
too.
people to know. So talking to Kim, what I didn't want to do, he's like, Sissy just is. You don't know where she came from, and I want to keep it that way. She could
Okay.
be the cook's daughter.
Yep.
She could be a niece. She could be anything. And Nancy continues that trend of she's just part of the family.
Sick.
Okay. Some people might be like, oh, she's the cook's sister. Or is she Sissy's mom? Right? Clearly not, because the way they talk to each other.
Yeah.
But he wanted it to be just ambiguous. They're just a family, and the less you know sometimes, the better. We know.
Yeah,
you see these horror movies that explore
Absolutely.
the kid's origin. And you're like, it's too much.
The
Mystery.
The less is more approach in the first film that Kim was going for. I think I like
we
it.
kept that throughout the characters for the most part.
and that is carryover. To
Yeah,
the game,
I didn't
is
want.
what you're
I would
saying.
never step on his characters and all of a sudden tell you that the cook is the dad. I would never say that because
Sure.
that's not what he wanted.
Yep.
And it's not up for me to say.
You're not going to say
So-
Cook's the brother either.
No, and any new characters that I come up
He
with,
is a dad-like
if
character,
I feel like
that's
they
for
need
sure.
a mom or a dad or a brother or a sister, I'll say it specifically. But yeah, I'm in the mindset that we don't need to know because I wanted to be faithful to Kim and his characters and that world and that lore. So yeah, but no, they are not having sex, sir.
What?
It's good to know.
Okay.
Okay, we've settled that finally. Community.
Bullshit.
Cook and Nancy,
Nancy has several husbands that are dead,
and we've seen what.
so she didn't need the cook.
You think she loved any of those husbands, or was she just?
No, she.
using
I mean, she did,
yeah,
but at the same time, she's psycho.
yeah.
So define love for a psycho. She loves them because she needs them.
She needed a child.
Yeah, and when they couldn't do that, she got rid of them. So, yeah. Is that it for Nancy? What are the questions on there?
There's a couple more here.
All right.
Because we are about
Oh,
to close
shit,
up
my
shop
bad.
here, guys. But I want
We'll go over the final list of
My
questions.
bad.
for sure. Just
My
a few
bad.
left. We actually hit up a good amount of them.
Just to make sure.
Let's see. I guess talk a little bit because we definitely got to get out of here. We're running up on 2 hours now. We're about 20 minutes over schedule. 'Cause we started right at
It's okay.
yeah, we're good. The dynamic relationship between what is really that especially everything you've touched on with Johnny, things he found out, the hitchhiker blabbing his
Yeah.
mouth. You know, what is that relationship like? The dynamic between Johnny and Nancy
I think it's.
from each side, I guess.
You ever heard a teenager, even though Johnny's not a teenager, where a mom or a dad's like, "Sweetie, let's go," and the teenager's like, "Hey, fuck you, mom." We allowed to cuss? Sorry. You know, and then the mom's like, "Oh, sweetie, don't say that." They're oblivious to getting stepped on by their kids. So there's a lot of that, of Johnny telling her, "Be quiet, I hate you," or it's a rocky, volatile relationship because
It's understandable considering that Nancy killed his
it's
biological
not just, "Oh, I love you."
Yeah,
Now she is. Johnny, don't say that.
right.
Johnny,
That's why I said both, because it's gonna
baby,
be
don't
different.
say that.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it's rocky because Johnny knows what happened, and he'll never forgive her for it. But at the same time, he still exists in that world. So what's he gonna do? It's either leave or deal with it or kill her. So maybe one day he does kill her. Who knows?
Stay tuned for
Whoa,
that.
Who knows? I mean, he's a cold-blooded killer at the end of the day. So
we going
just like
slow?
Sissy, you push him too far. I will. Speaking of love, I will want to clear one thing up.
Sure.
The word "sweetie,"
Yeah.
someone asked me, in our game does not mean love, by the way.
It does not mean love.
No, it's like your grandmother. They think because certain characters say, "Oh, sweetie."
Oh,
Sweetie.
yeah. That's
It's a southern term of
I was just-
endearment. It's
correct.
the way that your grandmother would say, "Oh, sweetie, it's okay."
Yeah.
To a kid, or a parent may say, "Sweetie,
Yeah.
calm down."
It's
So,
not-
and it's really a term, an old term.
It is
It was
old
used in the
school,
50s,
too.
60s, 70s, and
Correct.
80s. So if you're not from the South and didn't grow up in that time, I can see why you think it would mean love. But yeah, a lot of our characters call each other, "Sweetie, calm down." "Oh, sweetie," right? It doesn't mean that they're lovers. It just means they care about each other in a protective
Isn't
kind
Nancy
of
the
way.
only one that says sweetie?
It's something you would say to coddle someone and try to be like, "I got you. Sweetie, it's okay." Not, "Hey, baby."
No, it's definitely not that.
So I just want to clear that up because I know people have been thinking about it for a year or two now.
Yeah.
Because they hear it, they see the VO lines, but yeah.
No, that checks out. But yeah, in the South, especially in that time, like you said, even
Yes.
going back
I
to
mean,
the
my
50s.
grandmother called everyone sweetie.
Same.
I mean,
That's
sweetie,
big
sweetie,
same.
hey, sweetie, hey, sweetie. Like, it's just a thing
Big
that was
same.
there. Yeah.
I'm gonna get to a couple questions that you had from your
Yep.
Instagram, and then we're gonna close
yeah,
up the
Sissy
show.
on
the
because I'm
face,
sure
right.
everyone out there is not too happy with us. So
Yep.
let's move. It's
5 o'clock.
Let's move on. This is actually a good question. How did you come up with the family members' abilities?
Oh, I mean, yeah, I'd start with their looks and figure out. Well, I know Johnny's easy because I want him to be a stalker and a predator.
Hunter.
So him tracking people
Yep.
makes complete sense, right? Because that's how he would find
Absolutely.
you. The cook's old, so hearing aid. Plus, he would know the entire map
Hearing
completely
aid.
because he's one of the oldest members. So I feel like he would pick up on creaks.
Nah,
and
he was
cracks.
just leaning
So that's
forward.
kind of how we did the noise.
Downfall using shotgun
Sissy,
mics for
flowers. What can she do with the flowers? What did she do with flowers? That was always a thing. Oh, grind them up into a poison.
Yeah.
So, and then it's the hitchhiker. Of course, he would be making gnarly traps out of bones and stuff because that's what that freak does.
I like Johnny's line. How do you make those weird traps?
Yeah, how do you make those
anyway?
weird ass traps? Too? Yeah,
Anyway.
exactly. So
Voiced by the great
it's a
Damian
visual
Buffet.
thing. It's
Yes.
a visual thing that plays into the way they look.
Yeah.
What is the thing that that works for gameplay based on? So you have lots of ideas for abilities, and you narrow it down to one that fits the look
Shut
of the
up,
character.
Dan.
Nancy in her eye. And Nancy pulling
Your
out
jokes
barbed wire
suck.
because that's something that she would do because she's
Sure.
I think
insane.
people
It's
get
the
mad
opposite
when
of
they
what she
tell
looks
bad
like.
jokes.
It's true.
So really, that's how you come up with it.
That's super cool.
It's part visual,
Yeah.
and what works for gameplay.
Yeah, obviously.
So,
yeah, because
Not to gloss over it.
can't ignore that.
Not to
fact.
gloss over it, but yeah. And also the victims also have things that tie into the personality. Toughness for
Yeah.
Anna. Picking locks for Connie because she can fix things on the fly. And then Julie,
Absolutely.
stamina. So Sunny, highlighting, using his smarts and his wits. Those are all just character traits, the way they were written, trying to show that in the game world visually. So yeah,
Who
once
gave
you
you
have the
mod?
character's bio and what they are as a
Taking
person,
your wrench away.
Makes that so
you
much
makes
easier.
that a little bit easier.
Yeah.
You just have to figure out what works and what's too gamey, not too gamey, where's the line at. So
Yeah. One last question we had here is
What are you yawning for? Wake up!
so pre
Oh, I thought
pre
you-
like the first film, right? Pre
you-
our game, pre Sally, for instance, from the first film.
yeah,
Huh?
Did anyone ever escape the family?
no, or else they'd be caught.
Yeah, but
Now, Johnny has gone out, and we know he's failed
Yep.
because of the
Pflugerville.
Pflugerville incident,
Ah!
where he got a scar in his shoulder.
He
there
said
was
it.
multiple girls in that house. He thought there was one. He wakes up and all of a sudden gets stabbed by a friend, and like,
Yeah.
So those two people know they survived.
Absolutely.
Right, and Sissy has survivors. Like they mess up when they're out away from the house, but
That's
no
how
one
mistakes
has.
happen.
Yes, exactly. No one has survived the house
Got it.
encounters, but that doesn't mean that there aren't people who survived out in the wild, who know what Johnny looks like and they know what Sissy looks like. But once again, there's no internet. Well, when the police ask you what they look like, you tell them. But okay, there's no database,
Yeah.
right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, you can get away with a lot back then.
Yep.
So, but yeah, no one survived. Sally's the first to leave the family house, which is why it's not there in the sequel.
That makes sense.
Yep, Sally's solely responsible
Yeah, they're
for them
all
going
dead.
to the tunnels.
Yeah.
in part two.
For running.
Yeah, they had to leave
On
because
the
she knows
run.
she knows where the house is.
Yeah.
and they're on the run. So
Way down there and whatever
Yep.
they say in the movie.
Yeah.
But dude, this was a lot of fun. Before I get you
that
out
the
of here,
last one?
I have one request. Please never give Cook a horse in the game.
Oh,
Can we never
come
do that?
on.
the good news is we're not going to do any horse tech.
That's
so.
good. There's a little meme
Yeah.
going in with the community. Cook must have horse. Cook have horse. No, Cook's probably not going to get a horse, y'all. So
Yeah, and that is all the questions. Yeah.
yeah, we hit them all.
Oh, Danny and Anna.
Oh yeah, you know.
Are there
say
relationships?
Yeah, are they?
Here's the
tight?
deal, because they haven't met very much in person.
Okay.
After the tragedy, it's only been a couple weeks. They haven't had time to get closer. So you would think that after a tragedy like that,
Sure.
your sister's missing, my girlfriend's missing.
Yeah.
We grow close over time.
Sure.
And if it was months and months and months, they certainly would, because people find solace.
We
in-
didn't have months and months.
No. So
or they didn't. I should.
They
say.
didn't.
Yeah.
So they only had, about a week before they start going, oh God, she's missing. What are we going to do? And yet they're talking on the phone and trying to console each other, but they don't have the time to nurture that relationship that usually happens
Right.
when someone goes missing and the brother and this other person or the sister become close.
Yeah.
So yeah, they would. Absolutely. He would be trying to take care of her.
believe
Danny
it.
absolutely
I'll
would.
explain the horse.
Especially someone
Well,
what
there's not
he's
really much to
been
explain.
If he didn't go to
I'll
this
explain.
house and there was a different story and they got close to each other,
Yep.
Danny would absolutely try to take care of Anna.
Love it.
And completely be the big brother and make sure that she was good and taken care of. So he'd be at their house talking to the mom and consoling them. And he may have even moved there.
Sounds like a happy ending.
Yeah, well, I said if.
That's it. Fair.
If.
Fair. I tried to squeeze one out of you before we got out of here.
Nope.
Not happening.
That's
Not
it.
happening.
Okay, I think we're done.
Yeah, I think we're going to wrap this up. We went over about a good 20, 30 minutes here, but We tried
It's
to.
fun.
It was a lot of fun. Thank you.
And I don't get to get on the couch very often, so.
Yeah, the fact that we got you here to join us, we couldn't do this stream without you. Period. So
I hope I answered everyone's questions.
I hope so too.
Yeah,
I'm sure
Maria
there'll be more
alive?
coming through eventually. Who knows if we can ever do something like this again down the road? But
Very cool.
yeah, just a lot of fun. And to the community, we appreciate you
Yep.
spending your time in Texas, joining us for this stream today. Be on the lookout for our social channels at TX Chainsaw Game on the Twitter and Instagram, and of course check out our community hub. Our great community manager Sid Silva has written up some good stuff on there lately. So
And if you got good concept art, make sure you send it to me.
yes,
I'm only on Instagram though, Ronnie Hobbs. I want to see it. Like,
Yep.
send it to me as a message or tag me or something. Because
you heard it.
if you send it to Andy, he may not show me.
I share. That's fair.
He
I
may
gotta get in
hoard,
the habit of.
he may hoard it.
Well, I share it a lot with everyone, but sometimes you were busy, and
Yeah,
I gotta get in the habit of sending you stuff directly. But
Yeah.
thank you guys. Be on the lookout for news and updates on our social channels. I'll see a lot of you in the Gun Discord and the TX Chainsaw Game subreddit. Until then, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next one. Take care of
Thank
each
you.
other, y'all. Be good.
Oh, Rob cut him off a little early there. Hit him with the mic mute a little early there. Okay, hold on a second. There's not much. I'm not going to recap this whole stream. All right, it was fun. I would just rewatch this stream if you're interested. It's a lot of deep dive nerdy stuff. So if you're somebody that wants the deep dive nerdy stuff, all that deep lore in the game, watch it. I was really hoping they expand on Maria a little bit more. I was looking for a little more hints on the museum mode and what, are we gonna find her body? Are we gonna find her living? I don't know. I was curious about that, but that's okay. By the way, the horse thing, Cook horse thing, that is 100% Damien Maffei's fault. Like he's gung ho on this whole the Cook needs to ride a horse thing, and now it's just like a meme in the community. So there's not much to it beyond that. That's all it really is. Just Damien keeping a thing going, which is fun. I had something else I was gonna say, and I totally forgot what it was. But Danny Clapp Maria's mom? Jesus, huh? Oh, dude, the Cook Nancy thing, man. You tell me they went out of their way, like hand animated their pose to have Cook's arm around Nancy, just them two doing a picture together, put it in the trailer, and there's no, they're just family. They're just family. And then there's lines like Cook being like, no, woman, this is my house. It just seems like a divorced couple kind of thing to say. I don't know. I don't buy it. This lore stinks. I'm uninstalling for this one and only reason. Ridiculous. Yeah, Connie's by. Oh, I did want to show. So concept art here. Mr. Daniel Nixon, who was in the probably still is in the chat. He took advantage of some AI here, and made a little something happen. Ignore this. This is just the cosplay image of Anna. Please stand by. Hold on. I gotta transform. Fit to screen. A little bit of this. Alright, look at this. Look at this. So we have June. Alright, some concept art. Here's some AI concept art of potentially June, which would be Sunny's girl. Come on. That's nice. Oh, crap. I like it. I like it. Potential. A character that I'd play. Alright, so then, hey, we know Connie had a little girly friend that she had to leave behind in Paris, Illinois. Huh? Potential. Think about it. We were saying, I was messaging him separately, it's kind of a little bit of a combination of Sabrina meets Hermione, but I like it. It could work, huh? Alright, that's it. I'm gonna wrap it up here. That went way longer than I thought it would be. I got things to do. People are asking for some stream tonight. I don't know. I doubt it, just because I have so much shit to do. We'll see. At the very least, tomorrow. Tomorrow should happen. But I appreciate you. If you're new here, subscribe. If you're not, Hey, stick around, will you? Thanks. That was me. I said braces or we riot. It's the right thing to do. It was the right call. But all right, that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll catch you on the flippity flip.